Welcome to the Bass and Brews podcast, your weekly distraction from other high-quality podcasts. And now, your host, Alex from Swamp Rat Fishing, and the co-hostess with the mostest, the Jabberhammer, Paul Roberts.
Hey, my name's Paul. This is Bass and Brews. I'm here with Paul. It's Paul and Paul. We're running the Paul show tonight.
If you can tell, that was not me. Evan, I did a TikTok live before we got started. The Bass and Brews TikTok live pregame show, and Alex is not here, y'all. Alex and Amanda, his wife, decided to put their daughter's birthday party on the same night as when we record, and so he's not here. It's just myself and Evan Goes Fishing, who did the intro very poorly. His hair was way too long, and it was very monotone.
Excuse me.
That's what we need it to be. And also, I had to point at him so the point I'm trying to make is this: during the TikTok live, we were about 1,000 likes from 5,500. And I said, if we get up to 5,500, Evan is in charge of Bass and Brews tonight. And we did. We got up to like 7,000, and Evan's in charge, and we started the podcast out, and he ruined it right off the bat.
Yep. It's all downhill from here, man.
Okay, well, the podcast is yours since we got all the stuff out of the way, so let's roll with it. You're Alex today.
I'm Alex.
No, not a lot of we got about 50 people that watch on the YouTubes. And so changing the name isn't going to do much good tonight. But y'all, this is the Jabberhammer, Paul, and tonight we have Evan Goes Fishing, aka Alex. So we're going to let him run it. We're going to let him be Alex, and we're going to see where this podcast goes. I'm just drinking. I'm shotgunning White Claw Surges and having a good time, and I'm following our guest co-host tonight, Evan Goes Fishing.
All right, let's get into it, man. It's a lot of pressure. You want me to start off, go a little bit about myself and what I do, where I come from, all that good stuff?
All right, you're fired.
I'm fired.
You're definitely not taking my spot. Alex puts out, needing a guest co-host replacement for me, and I can assure you that you have failed the interview on this one. No, the way we like to start this podcast off, we don't want you to tell us about who you are and your story. We want you to tell you what has brought you here today on Bass and Brews podcast. What is the journey that has brought you here today?
Well, I got a little bit of a DM from Alex on Tuesday, and he says, "Hey, what are you doing this Thursday?" I said, "Well, nothing yet. Why? What's up?" And he says, "You want to do a podcast?" I said, "Sure." So here I am. But before then, we've the three of us have been back and forth for probably the better part of a year, to be honest with you. Just sharing content on TikTok and wherever else, and kind of interacting with each other, and slowly just kind of we became mutuals after a while, and keep interacting with each other, and it's kind of just been kind of a bit of, I don't know what you want to call it, but we've been an internet friendship, we'll call it that. How about that?
You were not prepared to run Bass and Brews tonight, were you? And
dude, this is my first podcast. I got a virgin mouth here.
But dude, you got like 13,000 Tiki Tac followers and make content left and right. This is nothing different than Tiki Tac, except it's live. It's not live, but it is live because we ain't editing shit. But to his defense, I will come to his defense. He did not find out about this until 7:40, and we started at 7:45. So and he's wearing a sweatshirt. I don't know where in the hell you live, but he has on a Sims sweatshirt and a Sims hat. And
got a match.
Is this the Meat Sims?
What's that?
Is this the Meat Sims?
The Meat Sims? No, I just got to have a matching hat and sweatshirt, man. That's my gig.
Well, what's the Sims? What is Sims?
Sims is a company out of Montana. They make they make fishing clothing, gear, various other products.
Are they fly anglers?
They kind of started out as mainly a fly heavy business, but they do they make rain gear for bass fishermen. If you're around like if you follow some of the other big name like Bass or MLF, like you'll see some guys wearing sim stuff here and there.
So
I've
if they
got
started, hold on now. If they
Yep.
started out as fly anglers, then you've probably got $400 in that sweatshirt and hat. Because fly anglers don't put nothing at no budget level shit.
No, I got this sweatshirt yesterday at Sierra for like $35, man.
What the hell
I'm
is
a bargain
Sierra?
shopper. Sierra is I don't know if you have TJ Maxx down there, but it's the same
Yeah.
family.
Okay.
Same family of stores. So like Sierra is kind of like their outdoorsy version of TJ Maxx. So
Yeah, well, down here in the South, we just have TJ Maxx, and there's nothing outdoorsy about that shit. Where are you from? Are you from Michigan?
yes, I am.
Are you a Uper?
I'm not, but I did go to school in the UP for 2.5, 3 years. So I lived right on the border with Canada, in a town called Sault Ste. Marie.
All right, where are you originally from? Michigan.
So if I put my map up here, other hand, make it
It's
symmetrical.
the easiest.
It's the hand. Yep.
It's the easiest
So-
state for people to tell where you're from.
Yep. So right around here, right bottom center, I'm about half an hour south of Lansing. So from the greater Lansing area, it's where I was born and raised. It's where I
What
still live to
town?
this day. I grew up in a small town of less than 600 residents called Dansville. So super small. It's K through 12 all in the same building.
Hey, my town, MacB, was only about 700 people in the town.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's only about 500 people in the town limits, and then we had to pull some people right there on the skirts of it. 1 square mile. My town was 1 square mile. So 600 people, K through 12. We at least had an elementary school. Jeez.
Yeah, okay. So like, there's an elementary, middle, and high school, but they're all like you can walk from one end to the other, man. Like in 5 minutes flat.
People don't realize this about Michigan. There's some country ass middle of nowhere places in Michigan. Everybody thinks of Michigan, they think of the Great Lakes, they think of Detroit and all that shit. But everybody drink. I was a wildland firefighter. If nobody, first time listener, I used to be a wildland firefighter, and I spent a month up in the White Cloud and Baldwin area
of Michigan.
Yeah.
No shit.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Apparently
I know
there's
roughly where that's at.
Okay. Yeah. See, he doesn't even know where that shit is. Yeah, I spent a month up there fighting wildfires in May. I think it was like 2012 or some shit around there. I don't remember. It was an interesting time. It's like the only place in America where McDonald's couldn't last more than a year.
Yeah, yeah, it gets remote real quick. And if you get lost, you might end up thinking you're in the South. People start talking with a Southern accent. Start seeing the rebel flag hanging from windows. Man, you don't know where you are anymore.
I grew up in South Carolina. Now been in the Carolinas my whole life, and I saw more rebel flags flying in White Cloud and Baldwin area of Michigan than I ever did see growing up. It's crazy. At one point, like whatever. So this. Sometime in the 2000s, one of those censuses, they had like the lowest fucking census return rate in the whole country. It was terrible.
Oh man.
Not to shit on that place. It was beautiful.
No, absolutely.
There's a river, a famous river in there where everybody in that, I think it was White Cloud was where we were stationed. Somewhere in there, there's a famous river where people came and float, and there were guides and stuff, and they came to fish that river. I don't know what the hell it was. Last time ago.
Manistee.
Sure,
because there's a couple of quote unquote famous rivers. The most famous, I would say, is the Ausable River, which it runs right through this like center of the upper lower peninsula, if that even makes any sense to you. Right, if you draw a line down the center of it, starts kind of towards the middle, and then heads east towards Lake Huron. But at the upper area of the Ausable River is called the Holy Water. And that's where Trout Unlimited, I think, was founded back in the day. It's kind of like a fly fishing mecca for a lot of people, especially in Michigan. And then right next door, you have the Manistee that heads west towards Lake Michigan. And then you also have the Pere Marquette River, which is known in our area for steelhead. It's a pretty famous steelhead fishery.
Yeah, I can't remember what the river was, but it was a destination place where people came because there was a little restaurant that was a breakfast joint where the guides would bring all of their clients to eat breakfast early in the morning and shit like that. And so good times. Well, hey, all right, you're from Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked for your journey that's brought us to where we are today, and all you talked about was how Alex invited you on this podcast. So you completely missed the whole point of that fucking question, and you're like the third person ever that's done that. What how, what is the fishing journey that has brought you here today?
Uh, I mean, I've had a rod in my hand since I could stand up straight, man. It's been a life's passion. I grew up around fishermen.
You know what? I've had a rod in my hand since I was born too.
Oh yeah, I had a rod in the womb. Beat that.
Well, yeah, so did I. Mine is a light action and short. It's pretty much a kiddie rod.
Yeah, is that a euphemism or something?
You're a euphemism.
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
See, you said that you were going to be the wild card tonight, but here I am being the
Yeah.
wild card. That was your job. All right.
I'm just warming up.
Fishing rod in
my hand when I was a baby. Yep. So my grandparents, when I was real young, they bought some property up in northern Michigan, right on a lake, and several times a summer we'd go up there. My grandpa had a fishing boat and a pontoon, and depending on what we were feeling like that day, we'd take one out and just cruise around the lake and do some bass fishing. So mostly just Midwest finesse techniques. So I grew up fishing a Senko or a hula grub, and that was it. That's all you threw all day long, and you just hammered them. It was like 2-3 pound largemouth left and right all day long. You're good to go.
Largies, huh?
Yeah.
Up in the upper part, you're catching these largemouth.
Yeah.
Smallies?
I've caught largemouth way up in the UP. They're all over, man. I mean, you think of Michigan, I'm sure from an outside perspective, you think of Lake St. Clair or Grand Traverse, you think of smallmouth, but there are some pretty significant largemouth opportunities in here too. I've caught several largemouth over 5 pounds in even way up here. And I think our state record is probably pushing 11 pounds.
Whoa, I didn't know that's a big ass fish anywhere, right?
Yeah, yeah, man.
Damn.
We've got some hidden gems up here. But yeah, anyway, so I'd go up there, several times a year, and we'd go fishing, and then fast forward to young adult life, and kind of I got my own car, started going to college, and in between classes, I'd go and fish wherever I could get in the water, some local ponds or the river for some smallies or whatever bites, honestly. And I always, since I was in, freshman, sophomore high school, I knew I wanted to go into something related to fisheries. And so that's what I did. I got my general ed classes out of the way at Lansing Community College. And then I transferred up to the UP school called Lake Superior State University. So in Sault Ste. Marie, it's a town of about 5,500 residents. It's right on the border with Canada.
I'm assuming it's pretty close to Lake Superior.
Yes, very close. Yep.
The name?
You can see it from the house. Yep, pretty much. So I got up there and I immediately started looking at what the UP had to offer. I started catching my first brook trout. Caught some pretty nice coasters right along the edge of Lake Superior, some tributaries that lead right into the lake.
What's the coaster?
Coaster. Oh, I didn't even think I had to.
For all of us Southern people who have, real fish to catch and don't fuck around with stupid coaster fish, whatever they are, tell us what a coaster is.
So, coaster brook trout is a fish that spends most of its life out in the big lake, and then it kind of cruises in and out. It's almost like a coaster is kind of a vague term in my eyes. It's not something that's incredibly well defined, but coaster usually refers to a fish that spends most of its time out in the big lake, as opposed to like a resident brook trout that spends most of its life in a river, creek, what have you. So I'd fish some of those tributaries right along Lake Superior, and I fish them right at the mouth. So you get a good mix of residents, and then you get your coasters, which are usually a little bit bigger. In my experience, are a deeper bodied fish. Put up a pretty good fight. So it kind of introduced me to the world of trout fishing and had a good time up there.
You're skipping all over what one of the things I've been wanting to do forever. And when I was a wildland firefighter, I had a couple guys from Minnesota area, and I always wanted to go ice fishing. They talked about how fun it was, and I've always wanted to go ice fishing. Did you do any ice fishing?
Honestly, I didn't even really get big into ice fishing. I had done it a handful of times, but I didn't really get big into it until right before the pandemic hit. I got close to my end of my college days, and I had some guys that would in my my group of friends that would go ice fishing a lot, and they'd start bringing me out with them, and um, I was hooked instantly, man. I had so much fun out on the ice, and I immediately started investing in my own equipment. And now I've got all the freaking bells and whistles. I got a Helix 5 geared for ice fishing. I've got a lithium ion battery, ice auger. I got the shanty. I
You got
got
everything.
everything short of a snowmobile, man.
Do you go out and stay for a couple of days in your little shanty? Do you have that nice a shanty, or do you just have a
Um,
little pop up tent?
I just got little. I mean, it's the same concept. So you've got like your clamshell shanty, or you've got your pop out, where you pop out all the sides and screw it down. You're good to go. And mine's not insulated. Usually, you want to have something that's insulated if you're gonna go ice camping. So I haven't really stayed out overnight. It's not something that I've really played with the idea of yet, just because I don't have the equipment. But I
Hey,
would totally do it. It'd be fun.
yeah, we'll throw your shanty up, and I'll come out and we'll bring some White Claw surges. And if you get cold, I'll spoon you to warm you up, and we'll ice fish and have a
All
good
right,
time. Hey, I
that
got a
sounds like a
question
great
about
time.
ice fishing. I never thought about this before. When you have to go poop, if you're staying overnight, you might not be the best one to answer this question because you had stayed overnight. But do you just go shit on the ice, or do you have a poop hole that you go hover over and take a dookie in?
I think there's multiple good answers on this. Some people they'll bring a 5 gallon bucket and put a trash bag in there, and you just sit down on that and then do your business. Or you might have a designated hole somewhere, tucked in the corner of the shanty, and you go over there and just squat over it, and
Mm-mm.
that's how it gets done. I haven't actually had to gotten to that point where I had to take a shit on the ice.
No,
So
we're not shitting in the shanty. There's no way we're shitting in the shanty. That stuff needs to be taken outside and somewhere else or hold it.
hey
We
man,
ain't
if it
pooping in the shanty.
if it gets cold enough, you're gonna freeze your ass. You're gonna get frostbite. You're
You
gonna
know
get ass
what?
bite.
You know what? Then poop in your pants. You're not shitting in the shanty. We're not sitting there.
Bring
We're not sitting there having a good time and have smell dookie all night. We're not doing
bring
that.
bring some Depends out on the ice.
I'm not pooping in no diaper. No way. No way. Um, I've gotten so fat it's hard to wipe my ass. Anyway, different story. Hey, what kind of fishing have you ever gotten a tournament fishing? Or are you just out fun fishing?
Um, I I've dabbled into tournament fishing. I've actually done a couple of tournaments here last year. I actually just got back from one this Saturday. Nothing official. I did marshal for a Bass Nation event when
Mm,
I was in college. I was right on the St. Mary's River out in Sault Ste. Marie. Um, got in. I had a buddy who had done some Bass Nation events that I went to college with, and he was from Illinois, so he kind of had some connections. And Bass Nation came to town. They had like a qualifiers, so if you or if you place pretty well at that event, you can move on and eventually get to the Bassmaster Classic. So it was, I mean, it was a pretty big deal. But I was gonna go over there and just kind of like volunteer with setup, and once weigh-in came around, help shuttle fish back and forth, do whatever they needed. And my buddy texted me. He goes, "Hey, do you want to be a marshal?" And I said, "I mean, sure. What do I got to do to get in there?" He said, "Just show up at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we'll get you on a boat. We got a couple of openings." So I sat on the back of a couple different guys' boats, and I got to fish for some smallmouth and whatever out on the big water, man. Got into them. It was a lot of fun. It was a very humbling experience because up until that point, I had no tournament experience. I had no idea what life was like on a tournament boat. But it was, I mean, we had some tough conditions out there. Some 3 and 4 foot breakers out there on the big
mm.
river, dealing with some really strong current, 15, 20 plus mile an hour winds. Um, I fished like hot garbage, man. I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I don't even think I even had any of the stuff that these guys had tied on yet. I think I went out there with like a 15th ounce Ned rig, and I mean, I cast it and it just go, it's gone. Like, you're not going to see that thing again.
You sure shit ain't gonna feel a bite on that bitch
No,
either.
no.
What?
So,
So you're fishing now? You bank fishing? Do you have a boat? Do you have a kayak?
um, I had a kayak. I'm sure you saw it on my TikTok. I had one last year, and then this spring I actually sold it. I ended up buying a 14-foot John boat. So when I go out on the water, that's what I bring. Otherwise, I'm just bank fishing. I've got a couple of local spots that I hit pretty often. Nothing spectacular, just going out just to have some fun.
And this all led into you making content for TikTok.
Essentially,
How did this get started? How did we get into the damn? Excuse me, I'm over here burping like a damn broke elephant. What got you into TikTok and in making content?
So I mean, I was a college kid and I had TikTok. I didn't really use it. I actually kind of, if I remember correctly, I mainly started my journey on Instagram when I actually got into creating content, like made an account that was specifically geared to just fishing. And I would post one or two videos, or not videos, not even videos, man, just post pictures on Instagrams of fish that I caught, or, oh, look at this bait that I was using. This is pretty cool. Or like pictures of my kayak that I had at the time. Hauling my kayak half a mile into the wilderness on my kayak cart, doing all this crazy shit. And eventually I, started posting on TikTok too, and just whatever I felt like posting. And then one day I had this video. I don't know if you've seen it or not. I've posted it a couple of times, but I was out ice fishing and I caught a pike. And
hold up. We call it a jackfish down here.
Don't you start that bullshit with me.
It's a fucking jackfish.
It's a pike, man.
If it's long, slender, and got teeth, that bitch is a jackfish.
All right, whatever you say.
It's my podcast.
It's your podcast. Who's running this podcast? You or me? What's happening here?
It could have been a pike if you would have ran the podcast in the beginning like you were supposed to.
All right.
You had 5 minutes to prepare.
Yeah, I had 5 whole minutes, and
do you know how many times I prepared for this son bitch? Never, ever.
Ever?
Never.
Ever for never ever?
Never.
Well, I don't.
Look, I put a shirt on and I put my y'all look hat on and maybe my hook set hoodlum hat and maybe another hat. But yeah, that's the most preparing I do for this son bitch.
Well, I mean, I got no problem monologuing, talking to myself for YouTube videos for hours, but as soon as you put me in front of another person, man, it's a whole different ball game.
It's hard to be in front of me because I am pretty fucking handsome.
Yeah.
Okay, go back to your story. I'm going to take you off on these little wild tangents here and there. So your job is to make sure you know what the fuck you were talking about, because I have no idea.
You act like I've never listened to the show before. I listen like every week, man. I'm there.
No,
you may not see me, but I'm there.
But it's different when you're on the other side of the microphone and you're the one that has to create the talking content than listening. Listening's easy.
That's true. It is easy to listen. It's a lot harder to talk.
It is, unless you're me.
Unless it's you, and then you don't even have to say words. You just shit comes out of your mouth and it gets views.
Hey, you know what? That's what it's all about. You have to make 0 sense for it to make sense.
Yes. Sure. So, all right, let's get back to it. So, anyway, so is right around it was.
that's you just Alexed me, and I love it.
Yep.
Let's get back to it.
I'm getting there. I'm warming up. So it was right around. It was right as the pandemic was hitting. Actually, it was like my last big fishing trip before I had to wrap up shit at school. I just graduated and I was living out my lease on my apartment. And
what the fuck are we talking about? Oh, social media. Okay,
social media.
Yeah,
so
all right.
So it was like my last big ice fishing trip before the pandemic hit. And I was out. I caught this pike on a tip up. So if you know what, do you know what tip up is?
A tip up. Yes,
tip up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. So you set it out and it's like a set line, and then fish bites the bait, flag goes up, all that bullshit.
Yep. I'm 41 years old and I still have a tip up almost every morning. So I got you.
Okay, cool. That's good to know.
It's kind of short, but it's still
yeah.
Up. Anyway, go ahead.
All right. So I caught a jackfish. We'll call it a jackfish. I'll make you happy.
Damn right.
And it swallowed the hook on me. And so I had to cut the line while it's all the way down his gut, because I was gonna eat it anyways. Like, whatever. I'm not gonna try to release a pike that's got a hook in his stomach. That's not gonna go well for him. And it was within size class, so I brought it inside and I started cleaning it up, and there's this big bulge in its stomach. I'm like, what the hell? So I cut it open. There's like a 8-9 inch largemouth bass in this thing's stomach.
Damn.
And I cut this fish open and I get this bass out, and it's got the hook from my tip up in its mouth. I pulled the line back through the rest of the pike, and it's got like 6 inches of leader line on there. I'm like, there's my red hook right there. That's from my tip up. So that pike had, or that bass had to have hit my tip up, not set the flag off, was just sitting there with the hook in its mouth, and all of a sudden this pike just comes and gulps it right up. And
That's badass.
yeah, so it was a cool story. So I was like, I gotta post this on TikTok. And so it was like a 25-second video I posted to TikTok just explaining what had happened, and it got like 750,000 views. And just from there, I'm like, I'm just gonna keep rolling with it. So I've just been posting content ever since. So
yeah, so you got like 13,000 followers, and you got 11,000 of them off of that one video. See, that's what I need. I need to do something like that.
It's honestly, it's kind of been a slow burn for a while. Every once in a while I have a video that gets some views and boosts my follower count a little bit. But the biggest thing that's gotten me the audience that I've had is just being consistent and putting out videos as often as I feel comfortable, and gaining that audience that are there to see your brand of bullshit.
Yeah, there's nothing more that your followers like more than being consistently consistent. Because if you're consistently consistent, then your followers will be persistent.
Absolutely. I try to hold myself to 3 or 4 videos a week if I can. I work full time, so I don't always have time to go out and post content
What
or
do you
whatever. I'm a banker. I work at a bank.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You should have all the time in the world. I mean, all y'all do is just like make phone calls and people give you money. I mean, it's the easiest job ever.
It on paper, sure, but there's a whole lot more to it than that. But I mean, I don't have to take it outside of work. But I mean, I come home from work, I'm like, dang, what a day. And so sometimes when I go out and fish, sometimes it's just me fishing, and I don't always bring the GoPro.
Damn. So you're putting out that content. Are you catching enough fish that you go out a couple times a week and you can put out 3 or 4 videos a week off of 1 or 2 fishing trips?
Oh yeah, I could go out for one afternoon and probably get enough content for a week.
You know what? Fuck you. Yeah. You know what? Make me feel like shit. Go ahead. Thank you.
I mean, that's the thing though, is if I just post 5 videos a week of me catching some like 10-inch largemouth, man, like who's gonna come watch that? You got to add a little bit of pizzazz to it. So I try not to shove too much GoPro footage down people's throats, because I want to try to add some other shit in there just to liven it up a little bit.
Like what other shit?
Like I posted a video today, just something like goofy, just to give people a laugh, or like other stuff that goes on in my life. Just something to break up the GoPro clips, because I mean, I could post those all day long, but they don't really get views either.
You did not give one example of what the other shit is.
The other shit.
What about your life do you put out there that you think people want to watch besides you catching fish?
I mean, like still related to fishing.
Shitting in your shanty?
Yeah.
Hey, that would probably be a really, really good one.
That's part of your mantra. You shit yourself, you hook yourself, you fall in the water, right? So
or
that falls. Yep. That falls in that category. And it's funny you mentioned that, because I actually hooked myself this weekend, and I didn't film it. I didn't take no pictures or anything, and I'm kicking myself for it because it was a doozy.
See, that's why you keep the GoPro rolling at all times. Now
Yep.
You learned your lesson.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't even see it, but I caught a jackfish, and
Nice.
it was like an 18-inch pike. Like it wasn't anything substantial, but I was using a big walking topwater bait, like a spook or something similar to that. And I reel it in, and I'm holding it by the body, and those things are they're slimy as hell, dude. You can't hold on to them.
Look, you can squeeze them bitches until there's like nothing.
Their eyes are popping out of their head,
and they still live. It
Yeah.
is amazing.
You can leave them on land, and they just find their way into the water somehow. But I'm gripping this thing, trying to make sure it doesn't slide or anything, and I got my pliers in the other hand, and I'm trying to rip this hook out of its mouth, and all of a sudden it just starts thrashing around and doing all sorts of commotion, and it slips through my hand, and I've got my hand hold on the pike, and all of a sudden it just slips through, and that hook goes about half an inch deep into my hand, one of those big old like 1-aught topwater hooks, straight into the meat of my finger. and that pike just goes flopping off into the water. And
Well,
I
at
had
least
two of
he
my
wasn't connected. At
yeah,
least he fell
thankfully.
off. That would have been. Did
Yeah.
you cry?
Nope. No, I
Did
did
you
not.
cuss?
Oh, I cuss. I
Did you
cussed a lot.
scream?
Nope. I did not.
Oh,
I
good
was
for you. Did
it
you
was
pass out?
nope. No. So I had two of my buddies with me, and I went, "Oh fuck!" I just got hooked, and they kind of looked at me and were like, "Do you need to go to the hospital?" And I said, Probably." I was like, I don't know."
You went to the hospital?
Nope, actually, I did not. If you
Did
let
you
me
just
tell
yank it out?
let me tell my goddamn story, I get there.
Look, Alex sitting here. I've got to play Alex's part and my part, so you're going to get interrupted. This is my show. You ruined your chance for it to be your show. Go ahead.
All right, so I'm kind of sitting there looking at it like, what the fuck do I do? And I'm like, kind of like, I start playing around with my pliers, like kind of seeing if I can get it out or not, and kind of gauging like, how much is this shit gonna hurt if I try to rip this thing out on my own? And I could kind of feel the adrenaline pumping through me.
Interruption. I would be lightheaded at this point, and if I was playing around with the hook, there's probably a good chance I would have blacked out and probably fell over.
I don't know what got me through it, but I'm like sitting here, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna rip this fucker out. So I had my pliers, I just gripped down on this thing, and I started reefing, just pulling as hard as I could. And you can just like, it was like there was so much pressure build up because you got that barb there pulling against it, and like honestly, it didn't hurt. Like I could feel it, and it's kind of like a dull pain, like, but it wasn't like that hurts. Like you can kind of just feel that you're doing something that hurts, but like there's so much adrenaline pumping through my body. I'm like, honestly, it doesn't hurt enough that I would wait at least an hour and a half to go to the hospital. Like they're not going to do the same damn thing that I can do right here, right now with my pliers. So I started pulling, and eventually that fucker came out, and I immediately started gushing blood all over my buddy's boat. And so I'm like holding my hand over the side of the boat, and I'm like, get back to the house so I can get this thing to stop bleeding. And so we motored up, headed across the lake back to, we were renting a cabin. We got back to the cabin, and I got in there, and all I had was toilet paper and some Band-Aids. So I grabbed a wad of toilet paper, and I put it on my finger, and I held it down, and finally it stopped bleeding, and put a Band-Aid on it. We were right back to fishing.
I'm disappointed that you had to go in to get it to quit bleeding, though.
I mean, I didn't have anything. I didn't have anything on the boat with me. I just had
a shirt.
I had a shirt, but
socks. I mean, you could have put the whole sock over your hand like a little glove or a mitten.
I could have.
I'm disappointed in you.
I don't know. Maybe next time.
All right.
I don't even know where we were.
Podcast. Where are we going?
Well, to expand on that, I was actually fishing a tournament this weekend, and get back to the tournament talk.
Was it a bass tournament?
It was a bass tournament. Okay. There was 9 of us, 3 of my friends from high school and a bunch of their friends. We all went up, and we rented an Airbnb together up in northern Michigan, near a town called West Branch. It was on a private lake, so it was mainly just us out fishing there, and there was like one other guy out there with a $50,000 nitro, but other than that, it was just us. So there were 3 teams of 3, each person, or 3 people to a boat, and we fished 3 periods. There was 2 periods one day and then 1 period the next day, and whoever had the most pounds of fish took it all. We all put some money together for a pot, and I unfortunately took second place, but we did pretty respectable. Between 3 of us, we caught probably 60 pounds of fish.
Yeah. Did y'all keep any and eat them?
We didn't. We did not.
Bums.
I know. Not against it, just didn't.
What's your favorite eating fish up in that area?
If I were to go out and catch fish to eat, it'd probably be bluegill. Bluegill. I know you call them bream, but I call them.
Nope, they're not bream, motherfucker. They're brim.
Brim? Oh, God.
Brim.
All right.
A bluegill, all bluegill are brim.
There's one bluegill.
No.
There's one bluegill.
Yeah, there's one bluegill, but it's still a brim.
Okay.
A brim is what y'all call up there panfish, which is dumb as fuck. I don't even know why that name came about. It's dumb. We all know it's a fish. You don't have to put fish at the end of a pan. I mean, it's just a brim. All your flatfish are brim, except crappie. They're crappie.
So bass are in the same family as bluegill. So are they brim too?
Bitch, we ain't talking scientific around here. Don't even start with that. No, those are bass. And then you have brim, and then you have crappie, and then everything else, and then you have catfish, and then everything else is jackfish.
All right, whatever helps you sleep at night, Paul.
Well, I don't sleep very well, but it is my podcast, so that's what it's going to
It's
be.
because everything's a jackfish or a brim. It
Or a
keeps you
bass,
confused.
or a catfish. No, we know what every fish is.
Okay.
Why brim? Why bluegill?
I just
Y'all
think they
don't have
take.
walleye?
We got walleye.
I
I
heard
don't.
walleye is the best fucking freshwater fish in the world, besides like salmon and shit like that.
I mean, walleye are tasty for sure, but I mean, I live where I live. I live way in the interior of Michigan, and I don't think I've got an opportunity to catch walleye within an hour's drive of me.
Mm.
So if I'm going to go out and catch some fish, I want to fish somewhere local where I can catch, a fair amount of fish and have a good time, and I don't have to waste hundreds of dollars on gas to get somewhere.
So you're catching brim to eat. You come home. How do you prepare your brim to eat them?
I mean, so you flay them, obviously. I don't.
You fillet brim?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, go ahead. Now I'll get to
So,
my question after that.
all right, so you fillet them, and then you take the skin off of them, and then put them. You can do a double egg wash or just put some breading on them, and then just pan fry them, and you're good to go.
If y'all are listening, do not fry your fish like this. This is terrible. This is terrible. You gotta have 3/4 your mixture needs to be cornmeal. The other quarter needs to be flour. And
Well,
you're
I
right
mean,
with
it's
the egg wash, but you can't just do pure flour on fish. I
well,
mean,
no, you're not doing pure flour. It's a breading. It's not just flour. There's still some cornmeal and whatever other shit's in there. I don't know. I don't make it. I just buy it at the store.
oh my god. All right, I asked you why you filleted brim because you know the best part of frying fish is the tail and the fins. It's like the potato chips of deep fried fish. So down here, sure we'll fillet fish. I mean, usually 6-pounders, 6-pound largemouth and up are the best ones to fillet because you get the big old fillets out of them. But down here, anything smaller than that, you dehead them, you gut them, and you might leave the head on because the cheap meat's really good and the fried eyeball is delicious. But you deep fry them, you put them in your cornmeal and flour mixture that you make on your own, and you season it with, at minimum, some Irish seasoning salt, or you have your own seasonings you put in there. But then, after you fry them, the first thing you eat, because the fish is hot as shit, right? It's so hot, it's steaming hot. So the first thing you do is you eat all the fins off the fish. It's the potato. It's the fish chips. Literally, it's the fish chips. And then after that, you peel off one side, and you got your whole fillet in your little hand right there. And then you peel out the bones, and you eat the other side. And you suck the eyeballs out.
All right. I've never seen it done that way, but I mean, everybody's got their way eating fish, so I'm not going to discriminate.
Well,
I'm not going to judge you.
Yours is wrong.
Mine's
I'm
wrong. Okay.
Yours is wrong.
There are fish that we do that with. I usually do that with smelt. I don't know if you're familiar with smelt at all.
I know what a smelt is, but I didn't know it was an eating fish. I thought it was like a fucking bait minnow, like a shad or something.
I mean, up here, I mean, it's not something that's as commonplace anymore as it used to be because we don't have as much smelt as we used to. It's not a native species up here. It was introduced, but there are still some rivers up here that do have smelt runs, and so there's a thing called smelt dipping where you run out into the river late at night and the smelt start running up the river, and you go out there with a dip net and you catch a bunch of them and you bring them home and you just cut the heads off and then gut them out and then put the whole fish and fry them and eat them.
I do like how you're frying your fish and you come over here some bullshit like roasting them or something, some shit like Alex does.
Double broiler.
Yeah, he's over here broiling crappie. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? So, how about goby? Have you ever eaten goby?
I have not. I've never heard of anybody eating goby other than smallmouth.
But why? They look delicious. They look like a little s'more.
They do?
They look. I mean, yeah. I would imagine that if you caught gobies and you caught a mess of them, it would be like eating a mess of sardines.
I mean, I'm sure, but like, I don't know if you've ever been around a place that's got goby. I mean, it's not something that you could probably get a lot of them quickly, unless you had a spot where you knew where they were. They hang out around rocks and shit, so like you've got to get in and around the rocks and try to get them out or like catch them or whatever with some like really small rod and reel or whatever, some like micro stuff. But
cast net.
You're gonna throw a cast net over a bunch of rocks? They hang out around rocks and shit.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I don't use cast net. I've
Next,
never.
all right, you need to go catch some gobies, fry them up in your po ass cornmeal shit that you buy at the store. And I want to, because I would bet if you fried them up, you just probably eat the whole fish. Like the bones will be cooked through. You just eat the whole thing. It'd be like eating a sardine.
Probably. They get big though too. They get like 7, 8, 9 inches long
Oh my
too.
God, yeah, that's perfect eating, man. All right, you need to catch some goby. Get somebody that you know that can put you on some 7-inch gobies, and we're going to catch a handful of them, and you're going to cook them and make a TikTok video, and you're going to eat them, and I want to see how it goes.
All right. All right. Let's make it happen. I'll
Well, I
I'll
can't make
find
it
some
happen
people.
because I'm in North Carolina. We ain't got no fucking goby down here. You're
I
gonna
could.
have to make that happen on your own.
All
I'll
right.
support you,
I
and I'll
could.
send you a good fish fry so you don't fuck it up.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. I mean, I could go to just about any pier on the coast of Lake Michigan and find some goby.
There
They're.
you
I mean,
go.
they're everywhere. But yeah, it's just a matter of figuring out the best way to catch them. I've never even tried. I never cared enough to try.
Well, if it's a fish, it can be caught.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, there are people that go. Have you heard of microfishing? Is that a
Mhm.
thing? Yeah. There are
We
people
call
that do that shit
ultralight
too.
fishing down here.
There are people who go out with like a size 30, like tiny hook,
Mm-hmm.
like quarter of an inch long, and catch like 1 and 2 inch little tiny fish and stuff, like aquarium fish. Like people, that's a thing people do.
Yeah,
I've thought about doing it before, but
oh yeah, I have not the patience nor the want to go out and catch inch fish.
some like
Fuck that.
trying to tie like half-pound test line on a tiny hook or something.
Yeah, I've got short fat fingers. That ain't happening either. Do you have any questions for me?
Um, if I did,
You're a
I can't think
listener
of
of the
them.
podcast. You're a
Yeah.
listener of the podcast. So surely in your times of listening to the podcast, you've been like, man, I wish I could ask Paul these questions.
I think I got one. So like you and Alex are pretty big kayak fishermen, right? You guys do a lot of kayak stuff. You're pretty big kayak fishermen.
Well, all right. So there's two answers to that question.
Okay.
Yes, I'm very large. I'm much larger than Alex because he's like 4'7". I'm 6'1", and I weigh quite a bit more than he does. So yes, as a big kayak angler, we don't appreciate fucking fat jokes, but yes, I am a big kayak angler. On the other side of that, Alex used to be a big kayak angler, but he hasn't fished in like months, so he doesn't count anymore.
Okay, valid.
But yeah, we fish out of kayaks primarily,
Okay.
unless one of my buddies lets me go on their boat.
So would you be open to the concept of having a boat? Or is it just something that you just kind of got into kayak fishing and stuck with it, and it's just kind of just your bread and butter? Or
when we moved from South Carolina back to North Carolina in this area, the three lakes that I have are Jordan, Sharon, Harrison Falls, which MLF has kind of made semi-famous over the last 5 years now that they've come to. Really big fish, good fishing lakes, all largemouth bass, some good catfishing lakes around here. Anyway, when I wanted to start back fishing in 2019, I started looking for local bass fishing clubs, boat clubs, because I was in one in the early 2000s when I was in North Carolina. And a lot of them, the good ones didn't take co-anglers. You had to have a boat. And then I didn't really know anybody at the time to get into any of the team tournaments. And we do have a really, really big team tournament couple trails. I can't even fucking talk. Anyway, you know what I'm saying, right?
yeah,
And
no,
I didn't know
gotcha.
anybody to get into those. And I had my little kayak I had from the Savannah River. I'd take it out to Sharon Harris, fucking around in the mornings. Usually it's exercise because it was a paddle. And I was ultralight fishing, is what I was doing. I had a little teeny gulp minnow on there on a cork, and I would catch all kinds of shit. It was just fun. Came up to the boat ramp one day, and a guy had a PA-12 rigged out, trolling motor, 12 poles sticking up out the back of it.
It works.
That shit. So I start talking to him. His name's Steve, good buddy of mine now. He sold it. And he's the reason why I got the Hobie. He's the reason why he told me about the 2 local kayak tournament trails here. And so I went head deep into tournament fishing, mainly because of money. I could afford the kayak, and I couldn't afford a boat. And the other reason is I live in a townhome. I had nowhere to put the boat. So I got into kayak fishing because it was just the low barrier of entry to get into fishing. And when I got into that, I'm lucky in this area. We have 2 local kayak trails right here in that Raleigh area. And then we've got the biggest grassroots club, which is our Queen City kayak bass fishing, which we do
Yeah.
at Queen City Chronicles.
Mm-hmm.
They're in Charlotte, so that's kind of far away for me though, for now, because I can't can't travel, can't stay overnight. But anyway, we got 3 clubs right here, and we got a couple that have popped up over here in the last year that are a little bit farther away, but they're here. So we got a big tournament trail, couple tournament trails here, and that was it. I wanted to fish to compete. I do not like to fun fish. I don't want to go sit on the bank and go cast for an hour. Like, I don't want to go out there and spend 6 hours on the water fucking around. Like, I don't even like to go out on boats unless I'm fishing. People want to go out on the lake and spend all day on the lake fucking puttering around. Hell no, that is not fun to me. I don't want to do it, at all. So it was all the draw to tournament fish.
Gotcha. Are you are you a big power fisherman, or do you still do some finesse stuff, or what's your mojo? What makes you tick?
I want to catch fish, and so 2 years ago, I would say I was a power angler. I want to be casting up on the bank, and then got lucky, got to fish with some guys that knew their technology good and side scan and down imaging and fishing offshore. And down here in the summertime, you really got to get offshore. You can get an early morning bite sometimes, but if you're going to be competitive in these tournaments, a lot of times you got to be able to catch fish in the summer and the fall offshore. And so I got my ass beat in a couple tournaments by people fishing a shaky head. So never fished one, never had any shit. So after one tournament, I went and bought a bunch of shaky head shit and started fishing it. And then last year in the summer, fished with a guy that was killing them on a damn drop shot. So I went and bought a drop shot rig, and drop shot's probably what I fish this time of year more than anything. When shit gets hard, I'm going drop shot, and I'm gonna, whatever you can catch fish on, I'm gonna throw it. I mean, I don't discriminate against power or finesse, whatever. But the drop shot to me has really changed. I have done better fishing drop shotting. Matter of fact, I'll get it where I had a tournament a month and a half ago. I needed 2 more fish to get a limit. I knew if I got a limit, I could at least get some good points. I went out and power fished it, a drop shot. I went up on the bank, I threw that drop shot up there, and I'd pull it 2 times, and then I'd reel it in. I just beat the bank. Ended up catching my 2 fish and upgraded. They weren't big, they were small because of where they were. But I mean, I whatever the fuck they gonna bite. But
Yeah.
it's hard to beat throwing a jig, or we can go into semantics of that with power fishing versus finesse. But it's hard to beat just needing a couple fish and taking a worm and throwing it up against some brush or up against the bank.
Mm-hmm. I've gotten into drop shot last couple of years. I found some success with it in the late fall or late summer, early fall. Like I said, I grew up Midwest finesse. I think I'm probably most confident on a Senko. I could probably catch Senko fish like year round. It's just like I know what to look for when I fish one. I've recently, I mean, like I don't discriminate either, but I recently, the last several years, gotten into chatterbaits heavily.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've just about always got one tied on. Even this time of year, I'm still catching 2 and 3 pound largemouth on them.
We don't have a lot of grass here, so I would say when I go out fishing this time of year, I have a square bill tied on, I have a deep diver, and then I'll have something at 8 to 10 foot range. I have a big jig. I'm gonna have it. I don't leave the house now without a shaky head. Like, I might leave every rod at the house, but I got a shaky head and a drop shot. But like a lot of our fish this time of year, you're catching in the dog days. You're catching them in 10 to 15 foot of water, because we'll get a thermocline built up here too. So you gotta fish above that. But you get these hard days, and if you find some cover or some real good rock or real good structure, you can still crank them and catch them. But a lot of times slowing down and leaving that drop shot. See, I'm impatient as fuck too. So I like the drop shot because it falls a little bit quicker. Plus I can feel that contact on the ground the whole time, or on the bottom of the lake the whole time. And sometimes the impatience fucks me, but anyway, that's why I like it. I feel like I just feel like I have better contact. I'm more comfortable with it when I start fishing that drop shot.
Yeah, feel like you're kind of like in contact with the bottom. You kind of feel what's going on a little bit.
It makes me feel like Kevin Van Dam a lot. It makes me feel like I'm the best fucking angler on the water. Like I'm the best angler in the world until I don't catch them. But it makes me feel good until I don't feel good anymore.
Yeah, Kevin's our boy. He's from Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Born and raised in Kalamazoo. I've actually been to his family's tackle shop. There's called DNR Tackle over in Kalamazoo.
What'd you steal?
I didn't steal anything.
Oh, okay, all right.
I bought a new bait cast combo. I bought my jerk bait rod from there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Hey, do you know the best cherries I've ever eaten in my entire life come from Traverse City?
Damn right.
Best cherries in the world, Traverse City. My wife's grandma on her mama's side, they're from Traverse City. Her grandma she's dead now, but she hadn't lived there. They hadn't lived there in a long time. They still got some family in the area. They used to send down dried cherries every year. Have you ever eaten too many cherries before?
I can't say that I have. I've eaten plenty of cherries, but I can't say I've ever had too many in one sitting.
Okay, so if anybody ever gets a big old 5-pound bag of dried cherries, when you first open it up, the cherry smell hits you and it's so delicious. And you start eating handfuls after handfuls. And if anybody knows anything about fruit and cherries, there's a lot of fiber in them. And so, like, they make your poopy Lucy. And also, it has a cherry color to it.
Yeah.
And if you eat enough, your poopy will have a poop cherry flavor to it. And it's one of those.
Did you try it? Did you taste it?
No, but it's strong enough that you can taste it in the air. So
okay.
You have to. It's one of those few dookies that you got to courtesy flush yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, because that cherry flavor it sneaks up on you.
Yeah, and they're so tart and delicious, and I like the ones that don't have added sugar in them because
Yeah. Are you talking about like fresh cherries or like maraschino or dried cherries?
Dried.
Have you had like real fresh cherries before?
No, man. I'm in the Carolinas, but we got to get them dried. We can't get them fresh up here.
I wonder if you can like next day air some fresh cherries.
I'm not paying for it, but if you want to next day air me some, if you're making that kind of bank money, you can send me a pound of them and I'll eat them live on air.
All right. I'll have to look into that one. See, I don't know what their stipulations are on shipping fresh fruit.
How tall are you?
6'2".
Man, see, we missed a great opportunity.
What's that?
By not having Alex on this show, because we're both over 6 foot. Like, he would barely come up to our belly buttons.
Oh yeah.
Man.
You'd be like resting your arm on his head like an armrest.
I know, right? And you could lean back in a recliner, and if the recliner little foot kick didn't work on the recliner, you could just rest it on Alex's head and be comfy.
I wonder if he could get us a meet and greet with Willy Wonka. Does he have those kind of? Can he work those kind of connections?
I don't know. I'm not sure if he's still in the Oompa Loompa crowd anymore, because he smokes cigarettes.
Oh yeah. I gotcha.
So I'm not sure, but we'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask him. Why don't you make a TikTok asking him if he can introduce us to Willy Wonka?
All right. I'll make it. I'll make one up for him.
Do you like chocolate?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Is chocolate candy?
I would assume. I guess I've never thought that hard about it. What would make it not candy?
Because it's chocolate. Chocolate ain't candy.
Why isn't it candy? What makes chocolate not candy?
Because it's fucking chocolate.
Okay.
Airheads, candy. Sour Patch Kids, candy. Juicy Fruit is bubble gum. Hi Chew, candy. Jolly Ranchers, candy. And then Snickers is chocolate.
So what about chocolate separates it from candy? Like what is candy in your head?
I just fucking told you. Do I have to rename them all again? I can't remember.
You gave me
those
examples, but like what separates them from chocolate?
Because candy is not chocolate. And chocolate's not candy. Chocolate is chocolate.
I'm not following.
Did what's his name and Willy Wonka fall in a river of airheads? No, he fell in a river of chocolate.
So I guess
Starburst, candy. Sprees, candy.
Okay. So I guess I've never, like
Hershey
I said,
Kisses, chocolate.
Well, yeah, they're made of chocolate, but it's chocolate.
They're
So you're
fucking chocolate.
okay.
Have
All
you
right.
ever had chocolate covered Sour Patch Kids?
No, that doesn't really sound that appetizing.
Exactly, because you don't mix candy and chocolate. Do you ever eat a bunch of chocolate and then go over there and grab up, a bunch of chewy sweet tarts and follow it up? No, nobody eats chocolate or candy and then follows it up with candy or chocolate. Like, you don't mix them because chocolate's not candy.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess if you put it that way, I guess they kind of fill the same spot in my brain, but I guess I mean, they're two halves of the same whole it's in my perspective.
How do you have two halves of the? How the fuck does a whole have a half?
Because I mean, chocolate and candy, they kind of coincide with me. They're both
No. Explain. You said two halves of the same whole.
I don't know. I just made it up, man. I don't even know if it's a thing.
You need to throw that shit in the trash and never say that fucking shit again. That's terrible.
It's awful hypocritical of you.
I want you. See, here's how I want you to know the difference between chocolate and candy. Is
Okay.
Go get you some chewy sprees, and then go get you a Hershey's bar, or go get some Reese's cups.
Okay.
And eat the whole pack of Reese's cups, and then throw a handful of sprees in your mouth and see what it tastes like.
I don't even know if I'd make it past the whole pack of Reese's Puffs. My stomach would hurt.
Because chocolate isn't candy.
Okay, Paul. Okay.
Is cream cheese cheese?
I don't know. I've never asked it.
Me either. I have no fucking idea.
Nope.
It's weird.
It is.
I think it's like hard butter, but anyway, that's my
hard butter. Okay.
I don't know. Now I have no idea what we're even talking about anymore.
I don't even know where.
You've let this podcast fucking go so far off the rails that I don't even know what's going on anymore.
I don't either.
Well, this is your podcast.
It's my podcast. Well, let's get back to the kayak and boat debacle.
Oh, whoa. We don't talk about fishing on this podcast anymore.
We don't? Okay.
Okay, so kayaks and boats.
Yeah.
Where are we going from there?
I mean, so I was gonna get back to my path to where I am now as far as what I fish out of.
Oh my God, we're still on that. We're 57 minutes.
Why not?
We've talked about
Why not?
Like 18 times.
I never got to finish.
Okay, so
I never got to finish.
Hey, well, you know what? Neither did Paige, but it was her fault. She didn't pay her internet or phone bill.
Oh, geez. Well, yep, that's her fault. So I started out on a kayak, and then I bought my John boat, and that's what I pretty much exclusively fish out of now. But the reason I had a kayak for the longest time is because I didn't have a hitch on my car. So my family has a 12-foot rowboat that I could fish out of if I wanted to, but
that's like having a paddle kayak. That is too much fucking work to fish in a rowboat. I have fished in a rowboat before. It is the worst fishing experience of my entire life.
It's all of the paddle with none of the kayak.
Yeah, no.
But
horrible.
And it had a motor, but I didn't have it's on a trailer. Like I couldn't put it anywhere because I didn't have a hitch. So I finally got a hitch, and then I had upgraded the boat. I got myself a 14-footer, and I've gotten from there. But if I didn't have to get rid of the kayak, I'd probably be.
Rig the John boat out. Do you have like a casting deck, trolling motor, big motor, both? What does your John boat look like?
So my John boat, I've got transom mount trolling motor, and then I've got a 9.9 horse 4-stroke Mercury on there. So I can motor up and go fast if I want to, and then I can slow it down, do some whatever I want to do fishing wise.
Well,
but
if I ever come up there, we're gonna race.
All right, I can get that thing going probably 20 miles an hour.
Okay, I can probably beat you out of the hole.
Yeah, probably. I'll make it easier on you. I'll just use my trolling motor.
Oh yeah, you're definitely gonna lose that one.
Yeah, I mean, if it's just me in there, I can still go good clip in there.
What's a clip?
I mean, at least 4 or 5 mile an hour.
Oh yeah, I'm 5.5 pedaling with the trolling motor on 10.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. I've got a rooster tail behind me.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's just hatched, but it's still a rooster tail.
There you go.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, like you make a little bit of a wake when you're.
I'm asking you because I have no fucking clue.
What you're asking me about something that you just started talking about? Is that what's happening here?
This is how it goes, buddy.
Okay, so like you said, rooster tail. Is that what you're asking me to define for you?
Yeah, also called an inline spinner.
Inline spin. Are you talking about a rooster tail, the lure, or a rooster tail like something going on behind your boat?
Apparently both.
Because I thought you were talking about like a little rooster tail, like how the jet boats, they have that little spout of water coming up. That's what I thought you were referring to.
I was until we started talking about the inline spinner rooster tail.
Okay, so why did that happen? What what happened to where we got confused?
Evan, I'm not confused. This is your podcast. I'm just talking. I'm answering your questions, buddy.
Okay. Do you use a rooster tail a lot? Is that something that
It is one of those lures that sometimes you can just wreck them on.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when you catch big fish, they tear them bitches up left and right. They bend them, and then they don't ever work good again. So
One of the biggest quote unquote jackfish I've caught was on a little like 3/16 ounce rooster tail.
oh my god, that's super small. I couldn't cast that.
Yeah. I was fishing in like a tiny little ultralight panfish rod, and I was fishing for panfish. I had actually bought it. I bought it when I was out fishing. I went to Gatlinburg one year,
Tennessee?
and I was fishing Tennessee. Yep.
Look at you.
And I was fishing those like trout streams. I got a day pass and was fishing there in town in Gatlinburg, and they only sold rooster tails that had the single hooks on them, and I liked them.
Really?
Yeah, that's all you're allowed to use is single hooks. You can't have treble hooks in Gatlinburg.
Hey, you messed up. You know that those Tennessee, Western North Carolina trout, quote unquote trout streams, a hook and a can of corn, and you put the corn on the hook until there's no hook left. You put one kernel in at a time, and you throw it out there, and you'll catch more fish than anybody out there with a can of corn and a hook.
See, that's how people fish for carp and catfish up here.
Your catfish eat corn?
Sure, I'm sure
What
they
the
will.
fuck is wrong with them?
I don't know. They'll eat just about anything.
Have you ever eaten carp?
I have not. I've only caught a handful of them.
They're good if you prepare them right.
How would you prepare a carp?
You dehead it, you gut it, you fry it, you eat the fins first, and then you can't do it like that. Usually make carp balls.
You like
So you scrape all the meat out the little bones and shit into a little pile like you would a garfish, or like we do jackfish. When people eat jackfish down here, they make jackfish balls.
So like some carp hush puppies or something like that?
No, a hush puppy is nothing but batter.
Okay, well, that shows how much I know.
Yeah, we know.
We know. Okay, I'm glad we established that.
You established it.
Okay, good.
I confirmed it. I have no idea. I just don't.
Just don't.
All right, what's next?
What's next?
See, Alex is flawless. He ignores me and just goes.
He just goes.
You have a shovel. You have a shovel in one hand and a backhoe in the other, and you just keep digging. Digging. You keep digging it so much deeper. Alex would have been long gone from this shit. Like, I mean, he wouldn't even have acknowledged it. But that's also like almost 2 years, a year and a half. I don't know, somewhere around in a year and a half, that of him having to deal with me. He just knows not to ask questions. We don't elaborate. We just move on.
See, and that's the other thing though, is I had the premonition that I was going to be a guest and that I would be able to like kind of have a bit of an ebb and flow going on, but it's you and me, man. So like
I gave you 5 minutes to prepare to lead this thing.
5 whole minutes.
But I did tell you long before you had at least 10 minutes while you were fucking around on TikTok Live that you could have been preparing. You did send me a bunch of roses though. Thank you.
I did. Man, I was spent that 10 minutes trying to think about what I was going to talk about, and then by the time that 10 minutes elapsed, I'm like, I got nothing, man. I'm just going to go. And then here we are. So, yeah.
Yep.
I don't see this is my first podcast, man. I don't just sit and like talk to people about random shit for 2+ hours, man. Like it's not my day to day.
Well, you can go on 100 podcasts after this, and none of them are going to be this shitty. I can promise you.
That's what makes you though. It's because everybody knows you're shitty. So it's like
I know, but
that's what people come here for.
Yeah,
exactly.
Being shitty. I mean, that's what it's about. Look, again, you can go listen to 100 other different podcasts about fishing and actually learn something and talk about fishing. Here, we're here to talk about fishing when it matters, and when it doesn't matter, we're going to talk about, poop and chocolate.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't even have to think about it. You can just sit here and listen, and it doesn't even matter if it makes sense in your head because you're just it's happening and it's fun.
Yeah, and so next time you go on a podcast, it's not about you can't think about what you're going to say, okay? You have to say it first, and then let whoever you're talking to, let them think about it.
Gotcha. So
Does that make sense?
No.
So you just talk and then stop talking, and then let whoever is on the podcast with you, let them think about it and let them go from there.
Okay. That sounds like it's a lot easier said than done because I think too much. I'm a big thinker, so it takes me longer to think than it does for me to talk.
Well, you sure as fuck didn't think about coming on this podcast enough.
No, not until 2 days ago, man. I didn't. I was just gonna have another Thursday 2 days ago, and now I'm here.
Do you have to work in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
Yes, sir.
I should have sent you some White Claw Surges, and we could have shotgun a case of them, 12-pack on the air, and you could have gone into work tomorrow feeling wonderful.
Nice little headache, maybe some sunglasses going on.
Definitely a headache. If you drink White Claw Surge and you're not used to it, you're going to get a headache. But your tummy won't be fucked up because they don't have no sugar. They don't have a lot of sugar in them.
See, so here's the thing about White Claws. I'm not a big carbonation guy. So like beer, like even like some wines, man, like I can't do any sort of bubbles or shit in my drink. It's got to be just whatever it is.
All right. Yes, the bubbles will mess your stomach up, but I have a tip for you drinking White Claws, regular seltzer waters or surges. You can have them at room temperature or you can have them in the fridge. It doesn't matter. But get you a frosty mug.
A frosty mug.
A frosty mug. Room temperature or not. Pour them in the frosty mug like real heavy. Let them pour into that frosty mug.
Get that bubbles going so
all the bubbles are going to go poof in the mug. And you let it sit for a second until all the bubbles are gone and you got a little bit of bubble coming up, and then you drink it. And it's no more bubbles.
Okay. Maybe I'll give it a shot. I'll have to go buy a frosty mug somewhere. Where do you suggest I look first?
I mean, fucking go to Sierra if they're like TJ Maxx. I'm sure they got frosty mugs, or the Walmarts, or steal one from your local bar. I mean, they usually work good. That's what I got in my freezer is all the frosty mugs from where I worked at the bar, and we would get them from the distributors.
Well, if I stole it from my local bar, there's only one bar in Dansville, and there's no. If I steal a mug from there, they won't let me back in. So I wouldn't have a bar to go to.
Just buy it. It probably cost you $10.
Probably.
Oh,
should I buy it from the bar, or where should I buy it from?
Yeah, go to the bar, give them a $20 bill, order a beer, give them a $20 bill, and say the rest is yours. Tip them good. And then you drink, to however long you're there, you keep drinking your beer. And when you leave, you just say, hey, man, how much would this mug cost me? And if they're a good bartender, they're like, this motherfucker tipped me like $19 on a beer. It's yours.
All right. I'll have to see. How old am I? 26.
See, I've got some years on you. I'm trying to give you a way that you don't steal something and you make somebody feel good about themselves and you get shit to take home.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just my brain just doesn't go to those places, man. I was born an only child. Social interactions have not always been my forte. I do shit by myself more often than not.
I like being by myself too, especially fishing. I don't really like to fish with other people either. I like to fish by myself. I'm very self-deprecating and I holler and scream and cuss a lot and so I get it. I wasn't the only child though. I had two younger sisters.
I gotcha.
They were buttholes. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I love my younger sisters, but they were mean to me.
Yeah.
The king.
No. They were mean buttholes, but you love your buttholes.
Whoa, look at you coming up with something like heck yeah. Hey-oh.
Hey-oh. But no, like
see, there you go. See, you just said it and you let me think about it.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Don't think, just talk.
But I was listening to Paige's episode this morning, and Alex was talking about how like how he was fishing, like how he fishes on his own most of the time. Like he'll take friends, but more often than not, he wants to be on his own, and that kind of resonated with me because like you gotta kind of like you bring somebody out with you, you gotta focus on like are they having a good time, where's their lure right now, is it gonna catch my rod and break in half, or what's gonna happen. So like if I do something like that and it's just me, like it's my own fault. I got nobody to blame. And
Well,
if
Alex is like that, one, because he doesn't have any friends, and two, it is his release. He does not care about tournament fishing. He does not care about anything like that. That's his release out on the water. Me, on the other hand, yeah, I don't. Again, I don't like the fun. I don't want to be out there just fucking farting around fishing. I do not like that.
Gotcha. So do you ever fish outside of a tournament setting? Like, do you pre-fish? Do you just go and like scope out a lake and just go and pick it apart and kind of see like a new lake, see where the fish are, or
Well,
a new
I'm in a
spot on the
kayak.
same lake?
Yeah, I'm in a kayak, so there's not a lot of picking apart the whole lake. But now,
Well, no.
when I go out to just fish, I'm usually fishing for. I mean, I'm trying to catch big fish. Usually is what I'm targeting. That don't always happen and work out good. But now I'll go out there to like practice for a tournament. It doesn't have to necessarily be on the lake, but I'm just trying to see where the fish are on that lake. So if I can't get to the lake that I'm gonna fish, at least I have an idea on how they might be setting up. Because a lot of our lakes around here are very similar from small to big. So no, I'm always out there. I'm trying a new lure. I'm trying a new technique, or I'm working on dialing my graphs in and shit like that. So no, when I go out there, I'm usually always trying to do something. Now, when I go with my buddies on their boats, if it's not a tournament setting, we're kind of out there just farting around having fun. But I'm not, I offer money for gas, and I usually bring breakfast and ice and shit like that. But I'm in their boat. So, but I, what I tell them is they'll say, "What do you want to do? Where do you want to go?" I'm like, "No, this is your boat. I'm out here trying to learn. You go fish. I'm out here trying to learn with you." So even when I am in that setting on their boat, I want them to do their shit so I can go out there and see how they're fishing, where they're fishing, what they're looking for, all that stuff. That's what I want, because that's how I'm going to get better, is by going out there and seeing what they're doing, learning a new technique, or, why are they at this spot and we're catching, all that shit that goes into it. I'm always trying to put shit together.
I gotcha. Do you ever, so if as a tournament angler, do you ever fish with people that are a little bit more casual and feel like do you ever feel obligated to kind of like, almost guide them and like kind of give them tips and tricks? Or if you're in their boat, you're just there to along for the ride to learn from them?
No, I've gotten in people's boats and kind of what I don't like. No, by no means am I a professional angler. I'm okay. I know what I know, and so if I'm in their boat, and this happens a lot, like cranking or whatever it is. If I'm in their boat and they want to learn something, then we'll go around and I'll show them what I do. Yeah, on that side. But just like if we get a group of guys just to go hang out and kayak fish and fart around, yeah, I might hang around you for 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, but then I'm gone. Like I'm not just going to sit around in a little circle and fucking talk and fish and have a good time and
Do your little
shoot.
kumbaya kayak
Yeah,
fisherman?
I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I mean, if we're on a school of fish and we're doing that, that's one thing. But if we're just fucking around, like peddling around, I'm not doing that. And people want to go fish with me, and I'll tell them, it's like, I'm not fun to fish with. And I've had people that we've met up to go fish, and like, I'll talk to them in the morning, and we'll do this and that. But at some point, I'm gone. I'm just all over the place.
Just go and cover water.
Looking for fish.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Do you fish a lot of big lakes, or is it kind of mostly like if because you're a kayak angler, do you prefer a smaller lake that you can kind of cover a bigger percentage of that lake in a given time, or you just go to a big lake and pick a boat launch and just fish as much of that area as you can?
So the two closest lakes to me are Jordan and Harris, and they're big lakes, but they're not
Yeah.
big compared to like
Like
TVA
Gunnersville or
lakes, or
whatever.
yeah, none of that shit. They ain't that big,
Mhm.
but they're big lakes, and I'll be out there in the middle of them fishing 300 yards from the bank with the bass boats. And we do have a lot of smaller lakes around here. They've got some really good fish in them, but I like the challenge of being able to. I like the challenge of going out to those bigger lakes, trying to find those fish and fish for those fish. But if some of the smaller lakes, we got tournaments coming up on them. I'll usually try to, if I can, I'll try to sneak out and go get them dialed in.
Yeah. So, like, it's what would you classify as a small lake? I'm building up to something. I want to interject at some point, but I just want to see, like, what do you classify as a small lake, like acreage wise?
I'm trying to think of Sharon Harris because this is considered a lake, but it's a small one. I
Mm.
want to say fishable water. Fishable water on Sharon Harris might be around 7,000 acres, and I could be wrong. So
Jeez.
somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like fishable water is around 7,000, maybe somewhere. Falls in Jordan are bigger, but they're in, like, I think around 20, give or take a few
Jeez.
thousand. So those are the big lakes in this area. But then if you go over to the Charlotte area, you got Lake Norman, which is ginormous. It's still not a huge lake, but it's a big lake. Then we got Santee Cooper, which is about 3 hours away down in South Carolina, and then there's Murray, and so Hartwell. That's probably 5.5 hours away.
Gotcha.
But yeah, our lakes here are small. That's why bass will never come here, and that's why MLF fishes one at Jordan, one at Falls, and then the ending, the big round where there's only like 10 people, is always on Harris because you can't fit a ton of boats on it.
Gotcha. See, like, where I'm from up here, a big lake to me is like 200 acres, man. Like,
yeah, that's a fucking
like you
pond.
could cover the whole lake in a day, half a day if you wanted
that's
to.
a pond.
Yeah, like we have some lakes that are probably 1,000 plus. Like, yeah, but I mean, as far as a lot of local people in my area, like the biggest lakes in this area are 300 acres max. There's some chains of lakes where like one of my favorite places to go on my John boat. There's a handful, like half a dozen lakes, and they're anywhere from 100 to 200 acres a piece. And you can kind of go and fish a different lake or whatever, kind of go back and forth in between channels to different lakes and stuff. But as far as like full fishable acreage, is still less than 1,000 for that whole chain of lakes.
You do have the Great Lakes up there too.
You do, but you don't take a John boat out there.
Why? People take kayaks on them.
On a glass calm day, man. But like more often than not, it's like you sink a kayak out there. It can get scary fast.
I've never been on them, but I know a lot of people that fish all the Great Lakes in kayaks, and a kayak can take a lot more water. I mean, damn, just go look at the offshore kayak fishing on YouTube. There are these dudes out there catching fucking 15-foot sharks.
Yeah, but they got no wind out there.
What are you
They got no wind out there.
Evan, no. You have lost your mind. They'll be out there in damn 10-foot waves in a kayak off the shore of North Carolina fishing for fucking sharks.
That's a different rate of crazy. That's more than I can handle.
Yeah, I mean, I can swim, I can do all that shit, but like they do some crazy shit out in the ocean on kayaks.
I'm sure people kayak fish the Great Lakes, but
they do. I know them. We have tournaments on the Great Lakes.
In kayaks?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. I can't remember any of them because I can't fucking remember what I did this morning. But they have tournaments kayak tournaments out on Great Lakes all the time up in New York and all those almost all those Canadian areas up there where you are. Gotcha.
Well, I mean, by all means, I guess, but I've never really the concept of it never really.
What kayak did you have?
I had a Pelican.
Yeah, see, that's why your ass wasn't out on the Great Lakes kayak fishing, because you were in a fucking Pelican.
Yeah.
And yes, your life would be in danger probably 5 feet from the shore.
And
in that.
Yeah, and it was only a 10-footer, so it wasn't anything substantial.
You were on a cork. Like if you tied a line to the front of your kayak, and like you were a little bobber out there. No, you're talking about people out there with the Hobies and the natives and their old towns and shit like that.
Like 14, 16-foot kayaks with the...
Not 16, 14 is the biggest you're going to get in a kayak, a fishing kayak. But they'll be out there in 12 foot, 14 foot. I mean, they fish them all the time. Again, the ocean. Just forget about the Great Lakes and the ocean.
Yeah.
People are out there in Hobies and shit fishing the ocean all the time. 5 miles, 10 miles offshore.
Does somebody like drag them out there, or do they just go and paddle their way out
No,
there,
they
or pedal their way out
the
there?
the pedal their ass all the way out there and back.
Jeez, that sounds awful. That sounds terrible.
You must be fat like me.
I mean, I don't miss a meal, man. I don't go hungry very often.
There you go. Yeah, man. Look, the kayak. If you were to get into like a Hobie PA 14 or a Hobie PA 12, 2 foot longer than your 10-foot Pelican,
Mm,
like you can stand up and pee. You can
jeez.
stand up and do circles and jump up and down. I mean, your kayak experience was about as bad as it could get.
Yeah, like
You
I
need to
couldn't.
get somebody to let you get on a real kayak and go
Uh,
kayak fishing in a real kayak, and you'll understand why you can go out on the Great Lakes in a kayak and fish.
yeah, and like I couldn't shift my ass the wrong way, or I'd freaking tip right over.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that gets scary if you're not
And
careful.
and when you had to pee, you had to go to the shore to get off to
Hmm.
pee. Yeah.
I couldn't even like get up on my knees or anything. Like
Yeah. I
I
know.
don't. Yeah, no.
Yeah. No, you see. All right, this explains a lot. You need to get yourself somebody up in the Michigan area needs to take Evan out on a real kayak.
Mm,
It ain't got to be on big water. Just go to one of your little local ponds.
mm.
Whoever's up in your area, hit him up on Ticky Tack, take him out on a real kayak, and let him do fishing on a real fishing kayak, not no damn Pelican, a death trap.
Yeah, I think I don't even know. I can't say that I really know any other creators that are in my area. Like I'm sure there's plenty of them. I think I know of like one channel on YouTube, or I mean they have a TikTok too, but I think I know of at least one person that at least fishes areas that I've fished before.
Yeah, I know people up in there. I can't think of them off the top of my head right now. Paige is from Pennsylvania, but I kept saying she was from Michigan. So
She's from Michigan.
yeah, same thing.
Yeah,
Pennsylvania, Michigan. Same.
yeah.
She's not from Michigan. She's from Pennsylvania. You listen to the podcast too. She's
Yeah,
born and raised in PA, where she is. I just kept saying she was from Michigan.
Oh, well, didn't she say she was from? She
I
said
don't
she was.
know. I don't know. Maybe I don't listen to these podcasts after we record them. I damn
No.
sure can't remember shit that I said on them after it's recorded.
Fair enough.
I mean, I'm not even sure what I just said 10 minutes ago, to be honest.
I can't remember either.
Well, yeah, you shouldn't because you're here with me.
Right. Can't think too hard.
What is your favorite Alex social media story or podcast story?
My favorite Alex story?
Mm-hmm.
God, I don't know. I kind of just like, you guys are kind of just like, I sit there and just listen to it, but I can't say that there's a story in particular that really struck with me. Like, I don't know. That's a tough one.
Listening to the podcast, if there was one thing you would change about the podcast, what would it be?
I mean, if it were me, like I'd probably talk a little bit more about fishing, but that's kind of your whole thing is you don't talk that much about fishing. So like it would take away from your brand.
We had Jake on that. Jake, and that episode drops tomorrow, which would be the 18th of August, and we talk a ton of fishing about the Susquehanna.
That's true. That is true.
But we still do talk about fishing. We just intermingle it
amongst
everything else. Okay, so we got one feedback. Alex is not going to listen, so whoever listens to this podcast in a week, make sure you make notes and tell Alex that Evan says that our podcast sucks because we don't talk about fishing enough.
Now you're just putting words in my mouth.
No, I took them out of your mouth.
Did you know?
So are you a gamer? Because I see you got the gamer headset on.
Yeah,
you've never done a podcast. So I'm assuming you're a gamer if you've got like $180 headset on.
Oh, this isn't 180, but I got this for $40 at Walmart, man. This isn't anything extravagant. I just wanted something that had a mic on it that I could plug into my computer.
It looks good.
Oh, thank you. Does it make me look pretty?
Fuck no, you are lost on that one. That $180 headset wouldn't make you look pretty.
No, yeah,
okay.
I do.
You do have a beard, though. I wish you'd grow it longer.
I just trimmed it this afternoon. I had that shit grown out. A trimmer?
Look, you trim your ball hairs. You don't trim your face hair.
Why not?
Because it's beautiful long.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but it gets like more work as it gets longer. You got to take care of it.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
You run a comb through it every 3 or 4 days.
I mean, if you want. If when I get my beard like long enough, I gotta have like a whole freaking routine, like put beard oil in it and like wash it and condition it and do all that other stuff. Like I get lazy after a while, so I just trim it down.
So, are you bald or not?
Am I bald? No, I got hair. I got hair. Look at this.
Yeah, you got a little bit left.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
To
I
be
got some nice.
26, to be 26, your hairline's receding a little bit. So we'll come back in 20 years and we'll see. But
I got hat hair.
You have who?
It's all. I got hat hair. It's all swept to the side, and I still got a good hairline.
You have cat hair.
Hat hair. Like it's all pressed down for my hat, and it's all swept to one side, and it's like stuck like that. So
yeah, you could just tell us you got a comb over. It's okay.
Okay. All right.
Evan's never coming on this motherfucker again. He's like,
No.
this shit is terrible. He made me run the podcast. Then he talked shit about me. Then he talked about me being bald and him not bald.
Yeah. No, I've never put a mirror to the backside of my head, so you could be right.
You don't get a haircut and they hold the mirror up and so you can look in the big mirror to see the little mirror to see how they cut the back of your head?
I never look that hard. I just make sure it's not all crock-eyed and like looks like this when you go to get your haircut and you're like, oh, looks good. Yeah,
the Gumby hair.
Yeah.
Slant.
Yep.
I just got my hair did. I took me and Carter to get our haircut last Friday, a week ago tomorrow. And when we got up there, his hair's longer, and he wanted it. It's not like shoulder length long, but it was shaggy long.
Yeah.
And so we walk in there, and I said, "All right, buddy, what do you want your hair to look like?" He said, "I just want it trimmed. I like it long." And the stylist was like, "Oh, I know what he wants," and she started cutting it. And my son looks like he is living in 1992 right now.
He got like
all this fucking hair. It's a bowl cut, but it's not like she put the bowl on the head. It's hard to explain, but she fucked it up.
Is it like Is it like a bullet? Like he's got the bowl cut and then it just hangs out the back like a mullet, or like what's going on with it?
No, she cut the mullet off. The mullet would have been fine, but she cut the mullet off, so it's like a bowl cut, but instead of the bowl being level, it was tilted backwards at an angle.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's fucking horrible. Good thing his hair is going to grow back. And then I sat down to get my hair did, and she says, "What do you want?" I said, "Whatever's on." We go to Great Clips, aka Marginal Clips, and I said, "Whatever's on under my name, whatever they did last time." And she went and looked, and she says, "Okay, so what do you want?" I was like, "Ma'am, I don't, but whatever. That's why I come here, because it's in the system." And she did an okay job. I told her when I don't wear a hat, you stick it up. I just run my hands through it with some water, and wherever it does. Mm-hmm. Got a lot of cowlicks and shit. Anyway, she cut my hair and started brushing it as a comb over. I'm like, this is not what the fuck. I know that's not what it says.
I know you're not doing what I asked you to do.
I know. And then they don't shave the Teen Wolf coming up out the back of my shirt, sneaking up my neck. I'm like, man, we got to get that hair up off of there, dude.
It's like half the reason you go.
I know. The greatest part of a haircut is when you lean your head forward and they use that really close razor. And they do the back of your neck. Oh, my God, that's the greatest thing ever. So the only reason I get my haircut is they shave the back of my neck.
I don't feel it rubbing on my T-shirt when I'm walking around and all that other shit.
Well, I don't know now. I don't have a carpet on the back of me. It's just hairy.
No.
Are you one of these northerners that took your shirt off and jumped in the water? You like a chia pet, just got wet and tried out?
No, not yet. Maybe someday.
What's your favorite lure to throw?
Favorite lure? Yeah, I mean, I'm a big Senko guy.
You said that earlier. So is it you wacky rigging it, or just a Senko is the lure and you don't care what you do with it?
I am a pretty staunch weightless Texas rig guy. So get a offset shank, Gamakatsu 2-aught hook, and I'm pretty specific to the 4-inch Senko. I know a 5-inch is probably standard most places, but I like the size down. As a whole, our size classes are usually a hair smaller than southern states, so that smaller presentation is a little less intimidating. And I can flip them under docks and skip them and under lay down timber, all that stuff. And I throw it on super light line too, like 6-pound tests.
What?
6-pound fluorocarbon. Yep.
Spinning rod?
Yep, straight fluoro.
Okay, I was about to say if you're throwing 6 pound on a damn casting rod,
No,
you're better than I am.
someday. I want to get into
Mhm.
BFS here shortly. That's my next big rod purchase. I want to get into
Well,
a
you better
BFS
get a
combo.
raise at the bank.
Yeah, I'm due for one here shortly. I think I'm coming
Oh,
up on a
shit.
year at the bank. So
Branch manager, or are you a teller?
no. It's a hybrid role. So it's like you do a little bit of teller, or mostly teller stuff, and then you do some banking too. So there's no like just tellers where I works.
What the fuck you do? You're a teller. I know what a teller is, and then you
Yeah,
do banking. What the fuck? What is that? What is just banking?
like opening accounts and stuff, and
Okay.
like making customer service calls with people, doing all that stuff.
A hybrid
So
role, what that tells me is that they're paying you. If you're doing a hybrid role, when I hear somebody say they do a hybrid role, what that tells me is that they're paying you they're paying you the pay of the least amount of paid role. But you're
yeah, that's
doing
pretty
other
much.
roles that they should be paying you more for, but they're, and they call it hybrid to make it sound
Yeah,
good.
make it sound fancy.
I hope none of your bank people listen to this.
I hope so too.
Not just for that, but for a lot of reasons.
I mean, I do enjoy the work I do, and I enjoy the people I work with, and I don't want. I mean, I keep I don't like call out specifically where I work or anything like that. I keep my
Good.
my social media
Don't do it
separate
now.
because
Yeah, don't
because
do it now.
if I like if people know where I work and like the company I work for, then I'm kind of subject to their social media policy, and then they'll be like, well, you shouldn't be posting this about us, or like, this isn't the image that we like to send to people, and if they know you work for us, then they'll have a problem.
Well, I mean, besides this podcast, you shouldn't have anything to worry about on your social media that I seen, because all yours is really good fishing content.
Yeah,
Nice, wholesome family fun.
I try to keep it somewhat clean. Like, it costs here and there, whatever. It's no big deal. But I try to keep it mostly clean and not piss too many people off.
That's our mantra for Bass and Brews. Keep
Yeah.
it clean.
Just have fun and just post whatever I feel like posting. Just be myself.
Except when you come on Bass and Brews and you forget how to be yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
You've done a good job, though. I'm very proud of you, except for the intro. You really fucked that up, but you've done good since then.
Right. We had a rough start, but we're mellowing out a little bit.
It's okay. It's okay. That it happens. You had 5 minutes to prepare. I was giving you an opportunity to apply and interview to be Alex's guest co-host, because he's trying to replace me every episode.
So I fucked up the interview is what you're telling me.
Yeah, I told you that earlier. You forgot already.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm not supposed to think too hard.
Fishing your Cinco, are you in a lot of grass lakes?
Yes and no. So we have, like, the standard Michigan lake is called a kettlebell lake. So back long time ago, 10,000 years ago, when the glaciers were rolling through, every once in a while a big chunk of ice would fall off and it'd make this big indent in the ground. So you get this big bowl-shaped indent in the ground, and then that would fill in with water, and you get a lake out of it. So you have really shallow shoreline. The first 100 yards of shoreline is a max of like 6 to 8 feet of water, and then all of a sudden you just get these sheer cliffs down into anywhere from 20 to 60 feet of water, and it's just a big open bowl out in the middle. So most of the time I'm fishing that Senko up shallow in those, and sometimes there's grass mats, sometimes it's just like a carpet of weeds or whatever the hell's on the bottom, and so it's kind of pretty open, but it's still shallow. So a lot of times I'm just flipping around docks or up against like rock walls, break lines, whatever.
You're fishing a lot of natural lakes then, or man-made
Yes.
and natural?
We don't have a lot of reservoirs up here. Like, it's mostly natural lakes. There are a handful, but they're pretty few and far between. There are so many natural lakes that.
Yeah, I was about to say, y'all got lucky. Y'all got lucky with nature. They provided you all the lakes you could ever ask for without having to build dams and fuck up.
Exactly.
Nature.
There's a statistic somewhere that in the state of Michigan, that you can't go more than 20 minutes without finding a lake of some kind or another. So it's pretty good. Pretty good opportunity to fish here. There's probably half a dozen boat launches within 30-minute drive of me. So I get, I have a lot of options. They're not great options, but I have options.
Well, look, if you're making content, you're putting out 5 videos a week, then you're in an area where you can do what you want to do with the content. So
Yeah.
good.
I wish I had more time to get my boat out, but I just I don't come home from work at 5:30, 6 o'clock and be like, man, I want to take my boat out for an hour and a half and then lug it all the way back to the house. So I usually fish some little pond close to home that has a bunch of dinks in it, but at least I'm out fishing.
Yeah, because you do have sitting on like little docks, and you have the bank fishing and stuff. You have some content with that, but a lot of if you think about fishing though, the majority of people are fishing from the bank.
Yes, absolutely.
And there's a reason why so many social media channels do really good, and all they do is fish from the bank. I mean, there's a ton of them like that, and that's because so many people can relate to that. And sure, yeah, you can go get a kayak and stuff, but then there's a whole nother level of fishing and experience you've got to attain to be able to do that. But then you can go spend an hour, 30 minutes. Bobby Roast Beef from Jigs and Bigs talks about going and fishing for 30 minutes off the bank all the time. I would never do that shit. Fuck that. I hate that. If I can't go out there for more than 4 hours, I'm not going fishing.
I totally get it, man. I mean, like, working the hours I do, like, I don't have 4 hours to go and go somewhere. Like, I get home and I get changed and then I go out to my spot and I got 2 hours before it gets dark out. So it's kind of, that's just the way it is. But I mean, weekends, obviously I have more time when I'm not working, but
yeah, most of my fishing is done on Saturday and maybe Sunday morning. Up until July, about the only time I went fishing was for tournaments, and then July I got to get out some more.
Gotcha.
But yes, the bank fishing is where the majority of people are fishing. Now the kayaks changed that a lot. Kayaks made that barrier of entry less, right? So people can get their little kayaks and they can get off the bank, but then they probably end up catching less fish because where they thought they were going to take the kayak to catch fish, there ain't no fish.
Right. And that's the other thing I liked about kayak fishing when I had my kayak is that I could take it somewhere that is like a bank fishing only place and put my kayak in there and get to those fish that have never seen a lure before or not been fished in that part of the lake before. They're not expecting people to be in that area. So I can, get on some fish that maybe are less pressured and get into them a little bit better than people can from the bank.
What's the biggest largemouth and the biggest smallmouth you've caught?
So it's kind of a tricky question for me. Only recently did I ever even like have a scale. So I never really weighed my fish. I still don't very often. Fish I've weighed, I probably haven't weighed a fish more than 4 pounds, but if we're talking inches, my best bass is it's definitely over 22. I'd say 23, 24.
Damn.
That's out of private water though. That's like a farm pond or whatever.
All right,
public water. I'd say 22.
Okay. I don't give a fuck if you're fishing in your grandpappy's koi pond that's got a 24-inch bass in it. You catch a 24-inch bass. If you catch a big fish, you caught a big fish.
Yeah, absolutely.
People get all up in this shit. Oh, you caught that out of a private pond. I don't give a fuck. The bitch is still 24
That's still
inches.
big. That's still cool as shit.
It's still a big fish. I don't give a shit where you caught it. You caught a big fish. You know what? Did you catch it? No, you didn't catch it.
No.
So
exactly.
I don't give a shit about where you caught a fish. Catching big fish is catching big fish. I don't give a damn what you do. So don't downplay your damn big fish catches by saying big water and little water. We've already been through the big water and little water stuff. Your big lakes are like ponds to me.
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't matter.
Actually, my PB smallmouth was out of the St. Mary's River, which is the connecting water between Lake Superior and Lake Huron.
All right, show us where Superior and Huron is.
So this is we're gonna get 2 hands in now. It's getting serious.
All right, guys,
so we got
listening. He's holding up his right hand.
Yep. My right hand is the lower peninsula, and then you've got the upper peninsula up here. And right here, where my index finger is, at the tip of my index finger, is where Sault Ste. Marie is. And then you've got Lake Superior to the north up here, and then you've got Lake Huron to the west, or at the east, I mean.
All right, so guys, if you hold up your right hand and then hold up your left hand, and you put your left pointing finger on your right middle finger, Lake Huron is your pinky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's your pinky. my hands are backwards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
His
So
hands
it'd
are
be
backwards.
if
Why
you do it
would you
this
put your
way.
hands like that? All right, put your right hand up with your palm facing away from you.
Yeah.
And then you put your left hand up with your palm facing away from you, and put your left index finger on your right middle finger, and Lake Huron is your pinky finger. You got it backwards. Flip your top hand.
Why do I have it backwards? I'm from here,
There
man.
you go. There you go.
This is how you do it right here.
No. Oh my God.
Whatever.
See,
Anyway.
look, you can never move down south and ask for directions anywhere. You would be lost. Because in the South, when you ask for directions, nobody knows the name of the road. Nobody knows the exit numbers. They tell you to go to the big pine tree somewhere between 2 and 5 miles down the road, take a right at the big pine tree, and you're going to go past 4 mailboxes. And then you're going to have Jim Bob's trailer on the left that's missing the window in the front door. Don't stop there. Go 2 trailers down and then make a left. After you make a left, you just keep going, and you'll know. And when you get there, you'll know.
If you pass Jamie Lee's big blue trailer, you're too far.
Craziness.
Yeah.
Anyway, we really fucked up that geography
Yeah,
lesson.
Good thing neither of us are geographers. We'd be in big trouble.
I wanted to be a geographer, and then I wasn't, because I can't even remember why. And then I wanted to do like anthropology and archaeology, and I didn't do that. So I went and got my degree in peace, war, and defense.
There you go. If we circle back a little farther, I actually took a class to be certified to do wildland fire.
What happened?
I just didn't get into it. I never applied for a job in wildland fire, but I could have. I don't know if I still could or not. I don't know if my cert's up or not. But I had all the.
It's way up.
It's been. I think it's been 5 years, 6 years. So
it's way up. You got to redo that thing. You got to get a refresher course every
year.
But you just missed one of the most fun times in your entire life if you would have gone and been a wildland firefighter.
I got a buddy that does wildland fire, and it looks like he has a pretty good time.
Where's he at?
I'd have to ask him. I think I don't know where he's at right now. I think he's been in North Carolina a couple times, or in South Carolina maybe.
Where's he stationed out of?
I have no idea. I couldn't tell you.
Is there Huron Manistee National Forest up there?
There is up here in Michigan. Yeah, there's Huron Manistee.
So that's where I was in the White Cloud Baldwin. Was Huron Manistee. He's
out of state now, but when he was in Michigan, he was out of St. Ignace in the UP. So, Will, if you're listening, hello.
I think that's Fish and Wildlife.
It was. I think it was U.S. Forest Service.
Or was it?
Yeah, Forest Service.
I can't even put my hands right to show people where Lake Huron and Lake Superior are, so I have no idea. Man, you missed a good ass time. I'm telling you, it is very dangerous, but it's not quite what people see on the news. But it is.
But I mean, it has its moments, but I mean, most of the time you're just patting down backburn and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's not always at the front lines, high octane danger.
Yeah, but when you're there, there's nothing like it. Well, there's some stuff like it, but there's not many things like being on the front lines of a fire. It's good times, exhilarating.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Can you spell exhilarating?
Sure. Do you want me to, or what?
Yeah, that's why I asked.
EXHIRIL. Or no, yeah.
No, start over. Because
start over.
You talk too fast.
Okay.
Slow down.
So, EXILIRATING.
Boom. You know who can't spell exhilarating?
Alex.
This motherfucker used to try to spell words, and then now I say, "Can you spell it?" And he'll go, "No," and just move on.
I'm a pretty good speller. I had like an 8th grade reading level in 5th grade. I had that shit on lock.
Did you ever win the spelling bee?
I never participated.
Oh my gosh, you could have been a national treasure.
Probably. I could have stolen the Declaration of Independence and everything.
You missed your calling.
I know.
You could have been a national spelling bee champion and been on Bass and Brews. You'd have been the first ever. Could have. You know who would never be a national spelling? You know what I'm saying. Spelling bee contestant, Alex.
Yeah, no. No, he was afraid because he knows my spelling prowess. That's why he's not here. He was intimidated.
That he put his daughter's birthday party above this podcast, and his heart's not in this podcast anymore. I think he's given up.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Do you have kids?
I do not.
Do not
I do
have
not.
them.
Nope.
Don't.
Nope.
Don't.
I don't.
Get a dog, a bird.
I had a
something
cat.
Like that.
I had a cat at some point. It didn't go very well.
Wow, what happened to your kitty cat?
So I worked for the DNR for a little bit, in the wildlife division, and I was on a like a state hunting land, and I found this cat. Somebody had dumped it on the side of the road, and I brought it home. I had it for about 6 months, and then it had a urinary tract blockage,
Oh no.
and I didn't have $5,000 to fork over to clear the blockage, so we had to put it down.
Oh.
It was like an 8-month-old cat, man. It was heart wrenching.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love animals. I
Mhm.
love kitty cats. I just love animals. And yeah, we've had some cats with UTI issues, and you have to change their food up. You got to buy them a
Yes.
special UTI food,
Mhm.
and so yeah, that sucks. Kitty cats are so nice. I got a little cat now called Little Caesar, and the
There
story
you go.
is when I was in South Carolina, I was doing a construction job, and it was a physical therapy clinic, and right beside it was a Little Caesar's Pizza, and I walked out one day, and there was this little kitten, and he was eating like half of a Little Caesar's pizza somebody had thrown out the back door. And I went to go, I was like, keep, and went up to it and it ran off. And so we put some canned cat food out the next day, and that was gone. And then one day, a day or two later, I don't remember, somewhere
Mhm.
around there, a couple days later, I'm in there doing work, and it's just me. All of a sudden, I see something run out the corner of my eyes because it's got the back doors open because we have no electricity. It was hot as fuck. Anyway, it was this cat, and it was running through the clinic. I'm like, shit, he's going to be pissed on me. I got to get this cat out of there. So it wedged itself between the window and the desk that was in there. And if you've ever caught a feral cat before, like, they are mean. They will scratch and bite the fuck out of you. So
they don't
I
mess
reached
around.
down, grabbed it by the back of the neck, like you're supposed to grab a feral cat, and I pick it up and I start to walk out of the clinic. And it's looking at me, side-eye me, with the not hissing, not spitting, nothing. So I put it in my arm, and I start petting it. It starts purring.
Yeah.
And so I take it and I put it in a clothes basket and put a piece of wood on top of it with a blanket in there. And so I tell my wife, I got this cat, and her first thing is, don't you bring that fucking cat home. So I'm calling everybody I know that loves kitty cats and saying, hey, I got this really cool little boy kitty cat. He's probably 3 or 4 months old at the most. And nobody wants him. So I bring him home and put him in my shop because my wife, when I had a shop, never went out to the shop. And I left him there. And like 3 weeks later, we went on vacation. And we had people coming to feed the dogs. And I had a side text message chain going on with these people. Hey, take care of the cat. This is where the food is, blah, blah, blah. And she picks up my phone to text him and hits that one.
That one.
And sees I have the cat. Anyway, we named him Little Caesar, coolest cat ever, squirrel killing machine.
Oh, geez.
And he was a shop kitty. And then we moved to North Carolina. He lived with my mama for like a year and a half, 2 years. And then we just got him about a year ago now. We brought him back home, and he's been so wonderful. He's a cool ass little kitty.
Yeah, cats are cool as shit, man. I live in an apartment right now, so I can't really have a cat right now, but I have a snake at home.
Oh,
I've got
a snake.
It's a rat snake. It's actually an albino, so it's like a white and pink snake because they don't have any melanin pigment in their body, so it's all white and pink and stuff. It's about 5.5 foot long rat snake.
Oh shit, that's a good sized rat snake.
Yeah.
There. What do you feed it?
I feed it small rats right now. At
Live
its
or
size.
dead?
I frozen thawed, so like I buy them frozen, then I thaw them out and feed them to them.
Well, why not live?
So feeding snakes like live animals, it runs a risk of injury because they're alive. Obviously, they can defend themselves if they want to. So if you're feeding your snakes a live rat or whatever, it's gonna scratch it up or it could bite them or something, cause an injury. So it's if you can get them onto pre-killed food, it's a lot better for their health as far as like their safety, I guess. And it's easier for them to eat it if it's not thrashing around and doing all sorts of crazy stuff.
I'm assuming it's cheaper and easier to have a bunch of frozen rats in the
yes.
freezer
Oh, by
than
far.
trying to keep No, then you have a snake, and then you have a rat farm.
Yeah, you have a rat farm that you got to take care of all these rats, and then yeah, like it's.
and then
you've got more pets than you really wanted to begin with.
And then you bring a date home, and you're like, and the fucking rats got out while you're out on your date. You come home to have a good night after your date, and fucking rats like, help me catch the rats.
Gets in her car, and there's one in her purse that jumps out, and she's in the car, and she crashes. She never want to hang out with you again.
No, you're on TikTok being like, so let me tell you about my Tinder date that I had last night. We got home, everything was going great. We got in the house, and he showed me a snake, and then he was going to show me where he kept all of his rats that he fed a snake with, and there was no rats in the tank. They had all gotten out. You know what? You would be TikTok famous for all the wrong reasons.
Well, unfortunately, that scenario can't play out because I've got a girlfriend already, and we've been together probably over 4 years now, almost 4.5.
Oh man, look, I know you're in the banking industry. You better boo her up quick, man. 4 years, that's a long time this day and age.
I know. It's
she fish?
She does sometimes. Sometimes she does, yeah. It depends.
So when you were telling the story earlier about taking somebody fishing with you and trying to make sure that they're having a good time and having fun and catching fish and stuff, that's who you were talking about?
Not necessarily, no. But I mean, yeah, like that. I definitely want her to have a good time if she's out there with me. I want to make sure she catches fish. She's out there, having a good time, enjoying herself. But I mean, I want to catch fish too. So,
well, I took my girlfriend at the time fishing. Took crickets out to a little farm pond a buddy I know had, and I might as well have been out there with an 8-year-old. And she was probably like 22 at the time because she was catching fish left and right. I throw a cricket out there and she'd reel in a fish and I have to take the fish off, and then the other rod would catch a fish. So all I'm doing is taking fish off and baiting it the whole time. And finally I told her she was going to do that shit on her own. And she quit fishing, and she's never been fishing since. So if that tells you about what it's like to go fishing with me, I couldn't even let my girlfriend have a good time fishing. She'd never been until she met me though.
Oh, really? Not at all?
Never been camping,
No.
Never been fishing.
Oh, jeez.
None of that shit until she met me.
That's a rude awakening right there. Like, you go from nothing to, like, smack dab right in the middle of the outdoors. Like, there's...
Yeah, with me, with a dumbass.
there's no warm-up to that. Like, it's you're in it right now.
And then when we go camping, we were poor, so we go camping because, it was cheaper. Mm-hmm. And every time we went camping, I think, out of the 5 or 6 times we went camping, she ended up sleeping in the truck almost every night.
Oh, jeez. So you're in a tent?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See, now I hammock camp. I got a hammock.
Okay.
Fuck tent. Tents are stupid. Hammock, best sleep you'll ever have in your entire life in a hammock. But she still don't go camping. Not again. She's like, yeah, she's not old, but she's like, yeah, I'm not going camping. I don't give a damn what we're in.
What if you had a camper? Would she go glamping?
Probably. Yeah, but I'm not. Look, having a camper and having a boat are the same thing.
Yeah.
They're really, everybody's, one of the things you'll hear is like the greatest day ever of having a boat is the day you buy it and the day you sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody I know with campers, it's really fun. And then like a year in, their camper starts breaking and shit, and they have to start
you gotta fix shit on it.
Yep, and then they don't take it out for 8 years, and then they try to sell it, and the bitch is rotten.
Yeah, like you get next to nothing for it because everything's broken on it if you don't keep up with it. And
well, I mean, yeah, you buy a camper, and it's like buying what was the old shit? What was I gonna say? I was gonna make a really, really good analogy, and I fucking forgot. But like, yeah. Anyway, sure.
Sure.
That's what I meant.
I got you.
What I meant to say is what I forgot to say. So there we are.
Yep. I follow. I don't know, but I'll accept it.
Do you take your girlfriend out on the John boat? Does she like to go out on the boat?
Yeah, that's part of the reason I picked the boat that I picked, because it had some nice like cushion seats in there that came with the boat. So I took her out in like the rowboat. Like I had a motor for the rowboat, but it had those aluminum bench seats, man. That they're hard on your body. So it's not
flat ass quick.
Yeah. So I got those seats out, and I got her out in the new boat, and she enjoyed it. Definitely more comfortable for her. And it's a lot deeper boat than the old rowboat. So You know, you can kind of stretch out a little bit and you not feel like you're about to fall over or tip over or whatever.
So
A little
you
more
got
stable.
yeah. Does she go ice fishing with you?
She has. She doesn't like the cold very much, and I don't blame her. It's not for everybody, but if I got like a little propane heater I bring out with me, so if I keep that thing maxed out, she'll stay out with me for a couple hours and catch some fish.
Do you now ice fishing? Is that fun fishing, or are you keeping what you catch and eating? Is that a eating fishing, or is that just go out and fun fish?
Um, if I'm getting into some nice fish, yeah. A lot of times ice fishing is pretty tough, so the easier fish to catch are really small. So sometimes you don't catch enough eatable fish to really like be worth taking fish home. So it just depends on where I go.
There's nothing worse than taking a bunch of little fish home. Like when you want to go fishing, like you know what, I don't catch fish to eat, and you start keeping fish, and then you catch like two,
Yeah,
or you catch a bunch of little ones. Cleaning little fish is fucking just
it's a nightmare.
yeah. Well, you're
Especially,
filleting them too. If you
yeah,
can just gut them, head them, and fry them, those little fish, especially brim, little
yeah,
brim are like tiny morsels of deliciousness.
yeah. You know, I don't usually keep them if they're under like my threshold is 6.5, 7 inches. Anything bigger than that, I'm fine with filleting those. But I mean, I've never considered like frying them whole, so maybe I should keep some smaller ones.
Look, yeah, those the smaller brim because they're easy, right? You just cut the
Yeah.
head off and you stick your knife up in the pooter
Yep.
and you rip it up and then you take your index finger and you rake it out and all you do is clean them and then put them in your egg wash like you do,
Hmm.
then your fish batter and you fry them up and now you got fish chips and fish all in the same fish.
I'll have to give that a shot. That might actually be worth my while
Yeah, what kind
because
of
they're
I know you said you didn't make your own fish fry. What do you buy? Altries?
there's a brand called Andy's that's I don't know if it's a local brand, if it's like a national
Huh.
brand, but it comes in like a red plastic bag, and they have like an original style, and then they have like a Cajun style breading. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. That's what I usually end up using.
Yeah, I never heard of Andes. Down here, most people are going to buy Altries.
Autry's. I've never heard
Altries
of
fish
Autry's,
fry.
so
You know what? It's probably the same company, just like
probably they just
Sierra
rebrand
and
it.
TJ Maxx. It's just a different name because
Right.
ain't nobody in the north gonna buy no damn Altries. We got to have Andes.
Yeah.
It's like people down here eat Hardee's. We don't eat no fucking Carl Juniors.
Carl's Jr. I have never been to a Carl's Jr.
It's
I wouldn't
fucking
even know what.
Hardee's. It's the same thing.
Fair enough. I haven't been to either one. I wouldn't know what it tastes like.
You have never been to a Hardee's?
No, not once.
I
I
was
wouldn't
about
even
to
know
end,
where to go to get one.
I was about to end this podcast and do the shotgun round, but how in the fuck have you never eaten Hardee's?
I've I don't think I don't even know if I've even been near one before. I've never even bothered to look.
I
Have
know
you
you.
have you been to Raising Cane's?
I have not.
You have not. You haven't been to Raising Cane's.
No,
That's like a southern thing too. Like I only have one.
no, I think
And
that's a Maryland thing.
is
I
it
think it
really?
started in Maryland. Yeah,
Because
I think there are some down in this area somewhere, but I could be wrong. I'm
that was
probably wrong.
the
I think that's a mid-Atlantic Maryland type thing.
okay. Because the first place I had Raising Cane's was in Kentucky and then into Tennessee. They had a lot of
Yeah.
them in that area. So maybe it doesn't get
It's a chicken place, right?
chicken.
So, all right. When you get down here into the Carolinas, you get into Bojangle territory.
Okay. So they
Yeah,
probably run the territory and say get
yeah.
out.
Bojangles about some of the best damn chicken you have. A lot of people won't know this, but Hardee's used to be a chicken place. They didn't
Oh,
start
really?
really into the burgers until the early 2000s when they were like the first fast food restaurant to cook Angus burgers. But Hardee's was a chicken joint. And they used to have the closest you could get in fried chicken to like grandma's or Meemaw's fried chicken. Hardee's was about as close as you got to like the home cooked fried chicken you could get. And then they got the Angus burger thing and quit with fried chicken.
Really? Just quit cold. I guess not cold turkey, cold chicken.
I don't know.
I don't
Couldn't
know.
tell you. They ruin it though. That's
It's a
all I
shame.
know. If you ever get down here, get you some Bojangles. It's delicious.
I'll bet I could find one up here somewhere. I don't know if it
I
tastes
don't
the
know.
same as it would down there, but
Hey, used to in the early 2000s, Bojangles stopped in Georgia. Once you cross into the Florida line, there were no Bojangles anymore. It's pretty much like Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, I think Virginia, maybe some Tennessee.
really,
Yeah, it's
I'll have
changed a
to.
lot now. They everywhere.
Well, if I get down there next time, I'll have to find some
Yeah, find you some
Bojangles, some
Bojangles.
authentic Southern Bojangles chicken.
Yeah, there you go. It's Cajun Bojangles.
Cajun.
Bojangles is Cajun chicken, but it originated in North Carolina. Make no fucking sense, but here we are.
Gotcha. So have you, being from the South, do you do like a lot of boils and stuff, like shrimp boil, or is that more of like a Louisiana thing?
No, so in the Carolinas we call it frogmore stew or low
Okay.
country boil. And yes, we do some of those. Ours is just shrimp, taters, corn, and sausage, smoked sausage. So yeah, we do a lot of boils. Uh, we boil a lot. Matter of fact, it's peanut season down here, so I'm about to start buying
Boiled
25,
peanuts.
50 pound bags of boiled peanuts and boiling peanuts.
There you go.
And so we'll do that. But yeah, we get so down here we call it low country boil or
Okay.
frogmore stew, one of those two.
What's your meat of choice for a boil?
Well, I mean, there's only one meat that we put in it. It's shrimp, smoked sausage,
Okay.
and then you have corn, red taters. That's it.
You ever do crawfish?
So crawfish is definitely more of a Louisiana thing.
Okay.
And everybody drink. When I was a wildland firefighter, we had a helicopter contract, so we did a lot of prescribed burning down here in South Carolina. So we'd have a helicopter come up from Louisiana, and they were there for a couple months out of the spring. And once they would always fly up 2 sacks of crawfish, and these guys like they were Louisiana Cajun people.
Yeah.
We would have huge crawfish bowl once a year up here at the bunkhouse, eating crawfish. But no, crawfish is more of that Louisiana, that Gulf Coast type stuff. That's not really our neck of the woods. And then you get into the crabs. The blue crabs is more when you get up into that Maryland, that Mid Atlantic,
Yeah.
Chesapeake area. But down here,
Gotcha.
ours is all pretty much mostly shrimp.
Gotcha. Okay.
Well, look, man, this has been awesome. This has been great. We've been all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, you settled into if we were to restart this podcast now, I think you'd start the podcast off way better, and I actually wouldn't have to done much of anything.
Probably not.
If we did it, you hit your groove and you got going, and you said you were a wild card. So was the wild cardness more than what your wild card is, or did you expect what you got?
I think I got out pretty much what I expected. So
Wonderful, great.
I kind of felt like this is probably how it was going to go. It was going to be like, I mean, like I said, I haven't done a podcast before, so I figured it'd start off pretty rough. But once I got a groove going, we got just get to talking and just shoot the shit just like any other conversation.
Well, it's always nice when we have a guest on and and Alex isn't here and we can still talk shit about him.
Yeah, it's more entertaining when he's actually here to hear us talk shit about him
I know,
than to hear about it afterward.
He's like, oh my god, here we go. Yep, go ahead. Yep, here we go. And I didn't, I had to interrupt you. And when I interrupt Alex, I do it on purpose. He'll start to talk and I go, I'll start to talk and I'm like, go ahead. And I was like, no, you go ahead. Then he'll start talking. I'll interrupt him again. So fun. Well, look, we are at this point in time in which Paige's internet quit on her because she didn't pay her phone bill. And we're at the shotgun round.
All
I
right.
hope your internet holds up for this.
I hope so too.
Because we're at the shotgun round. You've listened to the podcast, so I know you know some of the questions that are coming up. And
Fair
they still
amount.
throw people for a loop. So the deal with the shotgun round is this. I'm going to ask you a question. I need your answer right then and there. Where there's no umming, there's no thinking, there's a well this or well that. These are simple questions. We need simple, quick answers. You understand? First thing come to your head.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Crocs or flops?
Flops. I can't do Crocs.
See, that's some Yankee shit right there. I knew you were going to say damn Crocs.
No, I can't do Crocs.
That's a shame. Why? Have you ever tried Crocs?
I have. I'm not a big fan. Like, I've worn them before, but I like flops better. I like the open air. I don't know. Crocs, like, everyone's like, if you don't like trim your toenails down to nubs, if you're wearing Crocs, like, you can feel them like rubbing on the ends of your Crocs, and it just like, I hate that feeling.
Actually, the worst is when you got long toenails because I don't trim mine. I just let them break when they get long enough. and you slide your foot into the crock, and one of your little toe
Yeah.
nails get it, and it just rips the fucking toenail off.
See, I can't just the thought of that happening is enough for me to never wear Crocs again.
Yeah, it's not fun, but anyway, that's what happens sometimes. Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
If I'm like at a party or something, somebody orders it, I'll eat it, but I would never order it for myself.
My man, I will eat the shit out of it. If you order pineapple pizza, I will eat every fucking slice in the box.
All right.
I'm not paying for it.
No, hell no. I am a very staunch either like a meat lovers or a barbecue chicken.
Yeah, that's not fucking pizza, man. No, I don't want barbecue. I want ground up sausage, pepperoni, and then a Supreme. Give me a Supreme meat lovers, and that's my jam.
That I can agree with.
Barbecue,
absolutely.
Barbecue chicken pizza is not pizza. That's two different foods. That's going back to the damn chocolate and candy conversation.
Call it what you want. I'm still gonna eat the shit out of it. So
I am, but I'm not gonna order it.
Okay.
All right. If you had to choose one person to go fishing with you, this is a new question, never been asked on the podcast. If you had to choose one person to go fishing with you, would you choose Alex or the Jabberhammer?
I feel like I'd probably pick you. I think you're more entertaining.
Hey,
and you've got that competitive itch in you, so maybe I can learn a thing or two.
Yeah, I'm going to push you in the water probably too.
All right.
Alex just texted. How'd it go? My reply, still recording. Alex, oh shit.
Oh shit. Yeah, oh shit. Look what you're missing out on.
You going to spend more on a rod or a reel?
See, this, and I was actually thinking about this.
No.
Nothing?
We can talk about it.
I have an answer already. I already have an answer.
Okay, answer it, and then we talk about it.
Okay, so my answer is, from experience, I spend more on my reel. That's my purchase history. Is I spend more on my reels. If I'm thinking about it in the moment, I'd probably purchase. I would think I'd want more in a rod, but I kind of want to make sure that my reel has quality components. It does exactly what I want it to do. Has the right gear ratio. It's gonna last me a while. So I've been based on the reels that I've bought in the past. I spent more on a reel.
I've heard that more from anglers in the north because they want reels with less plastic parts in them because of the cold temperatures. Is the explanation that we've gotten from people in the north that deal with super cold temperatures when they fish a lot. But you say keeping a reel longer. I probably kept rods longer than I have reels because the reels that I have that are very old, I don't use anymore.
Yeah, they get obsolete.
They get obsolete, and they start shit needs to be replaced on them. I've never had a rod where I've need to replace anything on them. Like they're still there, but technology changes with rods
absolutely
very quickly over the last 10 to 15 years. And so my older rods, when I started fishing with some newer shit over the last couple of years, I'm like, God damn, these fucking rods suck. And they were good rods back in the day. I
was say you look at $100 rod even 10, 15 years ago versus $100 rod in today's money. Like you're getting way more.
Yeah. $100 rod today is heads and tails and shoulders above a fucking $100 rod.
Like the majority of my arsenal for rods is I use Daiwa Tatula XTs, and they're right at that $100 price point. And you would, if you picked one up and you didn't know how much it cost, you'd probably think it's close to $200. Like they're super sensitive, they're super lightweight. I mean, they're dialed in, man. Like there's no better rod out there in my mind for $100 than a Tatula XT. But I've got $120, $140, $150 reels on them.
Big money. Alex, I told Alex to come on. He said he can. He's still putting his girls down to bed. So, again, I don't think his heart's in this podcast anymore.
I know.
In a 3-hour session, you don't want to catch 5 2-pounders or 1 7-pounder.
5 2-pounders.
What the?
Why not?
You've never caught a 7-pounder.
Don't need to.
Well, if you caught a 24-incher, unless that thing was like spawned out right after spawn, that bitch had to be close to 7.
Probably. The reason I say that is a 7-pounder is awesome, like freaking legendary status. But at least if you go out and you catch 5 2-pounders, you can say you put a pattern on them and you found something that was working. I feel like that'd be more of a personal victory for me than going out and catching one fish in an 8-hour period. And it might have been the biggest fish I ever caught in my life. That was it. Is all you got.
So you put a pattern together to catch the hardest fish to catch in the lake. To me, is more better than putting a pattern together to catch 5 2-pounders.
So you're starting to sound like one of those big swim bait guys.
Well, no, I don't even throw big swim baits. Here's a good story though. I went fishing with a buddy on his bass boat 2 or 3 weekends ago, and it was the same thing. He's like, "What do you want to do?" It's like, "Nah, man. Like, I want to go fish with you because we fish a lot of the same water. He does tournament fishing anyway. He catches fish different than me. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're out there first 30 minutes throwing a square bill. I catch a good one, and I thought I was hung for a split second, and I'm like, "Oh, that's a fish." And then it's coming in. I said, "This feels like a good one." And I tell him, I was like, "Man, I think this is a good fish." I said, "I don't think it knows it's hooked yet." And so we get a little bit closer, and then it realizes that something ain't right.
Yeah.
And it starts pulling drag, and I'm like, "Yeah, this is a good fish." So he ends up being 6.5 pounds.
Oh, wow.
And that was the only fish I caught the whole day was that one fish. But I told him first 30 minutes, I was like, if I don't catch another fucking fish the rest of the day, my day is made. And then later that day, it was a tough day of fishing. We went and fished these old railroad pylons that are underwater. I throw my drop shot out there. I get a bite. I set the hook, and it's pulling. And all of a sudden, it goes zzz. Like, I've caught a lot of big fish on my drop shot. I have never had one do that. Well, it got us wrapped around all these pylons and ended up coming off. I mean, who knows? That bitch could have been 2 pounds. It wasn't. It was a big fish. And it's an area where he's caught big fish too. I wish I could have landed it, but I caught a 6.5 that morning, so I was good.
So you're good to go.
Yeah.
I can see both perspectives, but just off the top of the dome, I'd say 5 2-pounders.
That's all we need off the top of your dome. I mean, you got hair now, but that dome's going to probably be bald in 10 years. Come back to us and we'll see.
Both my grandpas still have a full head of hair, so.
Oh, then you're good because your hair, at least on
it's
the
hereditary.
men's side, the men's side comes from your mom's dad's hair.
Correct.
So so if your grandpa on your mama's side got a head full of hair, you good to go.
Yep, he's got maybe a little bit of a thin spot, but other than that, you wouldn't tell if you weren't looking at him from the back.
Me and Alex are both hairy ass motherfuckers, so we've been good on hair for a while. I know the answer to this. You've already talked about it. We're going to ask it anyway because it's part of this. Wacky rig or Texas rig?
Texas rig all day.
I know it. You already said it.
Unweighted. I have stuff for wacky rig. I've used it, but like if it's not a Nico rig, I'd probably just say Texas rig.
Slow jams or hype music?
God, I'm gonna say hype music.
All right, so we got
because we're talking about on the way to the boat ramp, right?
Well, that's what
that's the context of the question.
That's Alex's context of the question.
Okay.
Mine is
What's your context?
I'm simple. I'm a simple man. I just that Alex always on the way to the boat ramp. Sometimes I say that shit. I don't know. Fuck, this is he's supposed to be asking these questions tonight, not fucking me. But he ain't here, so I'm asking the way I want to ask him. We got 15 years difference in me and you. What is your definition of a slow jam or of hype music?
I mean something that just
I need a band or song.
A band, an example.
Yeah, I need an example. How else do I ask that question where you don't start going into a diatribe?
So I guess hype music, I would say like a Led Zeppelin versus a Grateful Dead.
Some old school classic rock.
I'm just using two bands from the same era that have two stark contrasts in their vibes, I guess.
Would you consider Fleetwood Mac hype music?
No.
Do you like Fleetwood Mac?
I don't listen to them personally, but I don't think I would complain if somebody put them on.
If you had to choose to spend a night with Christine McVie or shit, I fucking just had her name in my head. The other one from Fleetwood Mac. How the fuck do I not? You know what I'm saying though? If you had to choose a night to spend with Christine McVie or the other one in Fleetwood Mac, who would it be?
I don't even know either of them, so I couldn't tell you.
Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera?
Christina.
You like a freak?
I don't know, man.
Do you know who they are?
Yeah, I know who they are.
Okay, I was just making sure,
I'm not that young.
Have you ever eaten beaver?
The animal, no. Animal, no.
You live in like an area with tons of beaver. You never had one?
I've had some off the wall shit, but I've never had beaver.
It's delicious.
I've had guinea pig.
What? Excuse me?
I've eaten guinea pig.
Elaborate.
So this is more anecdotal than anything.
Was this when you first got your snake and you got a bunch of guinea pigs?
No,
This bitch ain't gonna eat them. I am.
So guinea pig are native South America, and a couple of years ago, well, it was
Papua New Guinea.
year and a half ago.
Guinea pigs.
Sure. I visited. I went to South America. I went to Peru because my buddy actually married a girl from Peru. He met her online, flew down to see her, and they've been together ever since. And his wedding was in Peru. So,
that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. So I went. Another friend of mine traveled together. We went to Peru. We went to the wedding. It was amazing. The venue was like up in the mountains. It was awesome. We stayed in the capital city, which is huge, like bigger than LA. It's huge. And one of the restaurants we went to offered guinea pig, and it was like an hors d'oeuvre. Like it wasn't like a full like roasted guinea pig sitting on a plate.
Getting frog legs.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. And like it was like deep fried and like super crispy. Like it didn't taste like an awful lot of anything, but like it was definitely different. Like it was definitely unique.
Did it come out like a full guinea pig, or was it?
No, it was like I said, it was kind of like an hors d'oeuvre. So it was almost like, I can't remember if it was like a skewer or if they just kind of had like these little squares, like they had like a
so it was
chunk of lettuce and like
it wasn't like a fried squirrel.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Have you ever eaten fried squirrel?
I have not.
Man, squirrel grits and gravy. Boy, I tell you what, that'll get your girlfriend pregnant in a heartbeat. Now you cook some of that up.
I'll keep that in mind.
No, you should. Do you eat largemouth bass?
I've had largemouth bass. I've eaten them before. My family growing up would eat them. Like I said, when we had our cottage, like we go to the lake and
everything.
Yeah, my grandpa would go out in the morning. My grandma would specifically ask us to keep bass. So we'd go out and keep our limit of bass, and then we'd go out, get up and clean them, and then we cook breakfast, and then those bass, the fillets would go in the fridge, and then at night we'd go and eat them for dinner.
I love it. Good old fish fry, man. I'll tell you what, people talk shit about bass, but I could take bass, catfish, and crappie, flay them out, fry them, and majority of people would not know the difference.
I wouldn't keep bass in like the summertime usually. Once that, like, especially like dog days of summer, that meat starts to get a little mushy, like a little soft.
No, it doesn't.
In my
that
opinion,
fish still tastes delicious.
It does. I like to keep like the 14 to 16 inch bass. Like that size is perfect for eating.
Yep. But the best bass eggs are 8-pounders and above. All right, we're getting to this question. Everybody listening, unless you're a first time listener, this is what Bass and Brews is known for, besides being your weekly distraction from quality podcast content. What are your top 3 sandwich proteins?
Sandwich proteins. First, right out the gate, let's start with a safe option. Go with ham.
Okay.
Second, I would say like a capicola, prosciutto, one of those smoked Italian meats.
Just another rich answer. A banker answer.
Yeah. And then third, I'm gonna go with brisket.
Oh my man, shit. I don't know. We might have had brisket before, but I'm not recalling brisket. I think we have, but that is a good delicious.
Just a good old fashioned, just long or smoked brisket sandwich with drizzle a little bit of barbecue on top of it. That's just between a couple pieces of bread, man. That's all you need.
Oh my God. I'm gonna go eat some mashed potatoes after this. That's all I got. But I'm gonna pretend that's brisket.
You got a little chubby going on down there. You gotta talk yourself down a little bit.
What'd you call it earlier? The pop up. What were you talking about it calling earlier? The little pop up.
I can't remember.
Can you remember anything we talked about past 30 minutes ago?
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to even remember what I talked about.
You're gonna listen to this and you're like, I cannot believe I said that.
Yup, probably.
Yeah, you are. I mean, that's what happens on this. Well, look, man, that was it. We're done.
That's it.
That's it.
All right.
Keep going. We're only 2 hours and 18 minutes.
I know.
I've got another hour or two left in me.
Hey, maybe Alex can get on TikTok Live. We can do a post game or post podcast.
Nope, he's
done.
Nope, yep, he's
Ugh.
done. He's done. He's
Loser.
done.
Loser.
But what we can do is I can just leave this recording for the next 2 hours and set an alarm and wake up and then end the recording and then not just tell Alex anything. And when he goes to like get this ready to go out next week, because he's gonna look at it tomorrow and he's gonna see like 4 hours, he's gonna fucking shit a brick.
He's like, why were you guys talking for 4 hours?
I'm sorry, we just started talking about all kinds of stuff. Actually, I don't know if we could really cover much more than what we've covered in this podcast at this point.
Probably not. We'd have to talk about fishing, and then we'd have talked too much about fishing, not enough about other stuff.
Well, sometimes it happens.
Right.
Evan, thank you for coming on short notice. This was awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you came on without Alex, so it is what it is. You got me. If you want to come on with Alex again, we'll get that set up.
Absolutely, I'd be down to be on again.
Hell yeah, as much fun as I poked to you, this was awesome. It was a good time. And you did good at the beginning. I'm just giving you a hard time. I put you in a spot that nobody else has ever been put in at Bass and Brews, where I started the podcast and then was like pointed at you and said, let's roll. So you did a good job. You at least started it off with a hey-o.
Yep, I had to. Even if it was too long, I still did it.
All right, buddy, we appreciate it. Hey, where can folks find you? I'm supposed to do this before the shotgun round, but where can folks find you on the socials?
On TikTok, my username is Evan Goes Outside, because Evan Goes Fishing, I think, was taken. I'll have to revisit that. Maybe I'll change it at some point, but I already have a decal that says Evan Goes outside of my truck, so I can't change it now. And then Evan Goes Fishing on Instagram and on TikTok, or on YouTube, I'm sorry. I think it's all lowercase on YouTube, and I think the first letter of each word is capitalized on Instagram, if I recall.
And just so everybody knows, his name is Evan, E-V-A-N, not
Yep,
E-V-E-N.
not even. Yep.
Wonderful.
Yep. So I try to post everywhere somewhat often, mostly on TikTok, but I'm trying to gain a following on Instagram and YouTube too, so you'll see videos there.
Wonderful. Thank you for coming on. This was a great time. For all the brewskis that are still listening, thank you for following us this long. I hope everything's going good, because all of a sudden my video has got like a 3-second lag, and I'm about to have a seizure over here looking at myself. But thank you. We appreciate it. This is Bass and Brews Podcast, your weekly distraction from quality podcast content. And if we didn't hit the part of shitty podcast for you today, blame Evan, because he wanted to talk about fishing. I did my best to steer him into chocolate and poop. So here we go.
Chocolate and poop. Cherry poop.
Hell.